See at the line.
Oh, pack of cars come piling in as well.
Come. Come in the white. Hello. Come back on him.
That was incredible.
Nobody better. Nobody. Hell yeah, guys.
300. That is the name of a movie about Spartans.
This
And it's also
is
the amount
Sparta.
of miles. It's also the amount of miles that you will see in a common NASCAR Xfinity Series race. So oddly enough,
true.
also the same amount of miles you'll see at a Cup Series race at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And it is the number of episodes that we have been bringing you guys in NWP every Wednesday night, sometimes another day, but during the week, during the NASCAR seasons.
Someone
I'm
needs to
Danny
add
B,
up.
and I am your host tonight. Glad to have you guys here for episode number 300. I'm joined alongside my co-host, Eric Estep and Jarrett the Iceberg Lundberg. Guys, it is episode 300. Can you guys believe it that we've made it this far?
I was gonna say someone needs to add up how many of these have actually been on Wednesday night versus how many Tuesday, how many Thursday. I don't think we've done a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show. I mean, we've done 300 of them. There might be one mixed in there that I'm not thinking of, but either way, we've been very, well, I should say Jarrett, the Iceberg over here, has been very punctual, very consistent. Danny and I jump in when we can. I think my number is probably around 250, 260. Danny, you're probably in the 280s if I had to guess, 290 maybe. But Jarrett's been here for all 300, and you, the fans, have been here for all 300, and that's what matters most. So I'm excited. This is quite the milestone, and we've got quite the show ahead, I believe.
And guys, this is a big milestone episode. There's really only one way that we could possibly find it to celebrate something like this. There's just something about these every 50 that we have to have something. We have to have some kind of treat. We have to have some kind of dessert. It's what's the word I'm looking for? What do we usually like to have on these big milestones?
Oh, geez. I didn't realize this is
what's
actually
going
a
on?
surprise. I was about to put Danny on screen.
What's happening?
Oh my
Guys,
gosh. Thank you.
It is officially dessert time.
What the
What
hell?
the-
What?
We're all
Here,
having a
put
big
this on
cake
screen.
tonight.
What?
Happy 300
Don't worry, you look
episodes.
great.
Oh my
Hey.
gosh.
Yeah.
This is
Y'all, that's awesome.
The better halves have come in for us with the cookie cakes. Oh, Eric actually got candles on his to blow
I
out.
did. That was over the top. Oh,
That's from Cookie Society.
Let me get this off.
This is a quality
So-
cookie cake.
Me and Jarrett had the
Don't
identical
ruin
ones
this.
with the wedding photo on there. And
I'm like trying not to
oh,
ruin
okay,
it.
yeah, he's got the photo too. So that's really the only recent photo we have of each other together, and it was in the what was it called, the groomsman suite that we were in.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh my god, I want to eat this whole thing, but it's probably 3,000 calories, 300,000 calories.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh,
that's
that's
perfect for
awesome.
us. But all we got to do is just go get on the elliptical for an hour, and we'll be fine, guys. We'll be fine.
Holy!
But thank you again to
Wow.
Claudia.
Shout out to all
for
of
coming through on that, and Hunter Nixon. Thank you for the super chat. That is huge. Appreciate that. We will get to that in a moment, I'm sure.
I feel
but-
terrible. I can't get the top back on it.
I
don't
can't
want to
believe you.
ruin it.
I shout out to you, Danny, for setting that up with everybody.
Yeah.
Amelia told me earlier she had to run to drop something off at FedEx. Now I think I know what she was actually doing.
She wasn't going to see Denny Hamlin, that's for sure.
No, she's like, I got to ship something. I'm like, we don't ship. What are you talking about?
That's a good excuse. Good job, Amelia.
That blindsided me. What a way to kick off. I'm not going to be able to like talk this whole episode because I'm going to be so focused on this cookie cake just off screen here, and it's just in my eye.
The idea evolved from me usually getting the cake, and then Jarrett would come over later and just get a piece of it, and then it evolved to me thinking, hey, what if we just like DoorDashed Eric like a crumble cookie or something like that? But then Claudia started messaging Amelia, and she's like, oh, I'll go get one too. And then we were like, why don't we just get one for Jarrett and Riss, and then we could all have one.
That was brilliant. I'm honestly shocked. What a way to start episode 300. I wish you guys could smell this cookie cake in the room with us right now.
Had to come and
Ours
grab
boy
it.
95 said, "Where's our cake?" If we could virtually share with you, we would. But
Let's put some cookies in the chat. I'm gonna put like, how do you
where
I
is
got cake.
where is your all's favorite place to get a cookie from? Like, if you're just gonna go get a chocolate chip cookie, like where are you guys going?
I do like a good crumble cookie. There's a place here near where we live in Texas called Cookie Society, and it's delicious. It's like a crumble cookie, but man,
I'll tell you what's underrated is going to Costco and getting their double chunk chocolate cookie. It's actually, memes aside, it's good.
Nice.
I don't know where I get cookies at other than when my mom makes them for Christmas. Like that's the only one that I can think of.
It's hard to beat a homemade cookie.
Oh, they
Riss
have like
said that Maggie Moo's is her favorite, apparently.
yeah. Riz is a connoisseur in sweets and treats, especially right now.
Someone said
she's allowed. So
someone said Zaxby's, somehow bringing fried chicken into the cookie conversation.
Firehouse
we always find a way. We always find a way. You know who also found a way? Christopher Bell. He won the race.
Yeah,
He did.
I'm sorry. Riz had to come in and take it because I was like, one, I couldn't close it. Two, the smell was really damn good, and so now I'm completely discombobulated.
Yeah, I'm a little rattled, but okay, we'll get this show back on the
Wait,
rails
is Eric
here.
the only one who's actually still got the cookie in the room?
Yes, the cookie is in the room with me.
This is dangerous. It's out of my room.
Yes, I don't even want to risk picking it up. I'm going to throw it on the ground if I'm not careful. But yes, it is in the room with me. Very dangerous. But Christopher Bell, yes. Quietly, congrats to David Bell, longtime viewer. I don't know how many of the 300 episodes he's caught, but it's been quite a few. Christopher has quietly become a legit super speedway racer. I was talking with someone earlier today, and we kind of realized, like, damn, Bell has broken into that tier of driver that has no weaknesses. You know, like even like I would say like Denny Hamlin, great short track racer, great super speedway racer historically, not great on the road courses. Brad Keselowski, I could kind of say the same thing. Christopher Bell, up until the last year or so, you could say the same about him. I mean, he's great at the dirt tracks when they had Bristol dirt as well. But now he's got a super speedway win on his resume. I didn't see this coming, but when I go back and look at the numbers from the last year or so, you realize, oh no, he's up near the front in a lot of these races. I mean, the Daytona 500, he was side by side for the lead when he got turned by Cole Custer. So Bell has suddenly become, I mean, as he said, I love super speedways now. I don't know if he's a great super speedway racer, but he's certainly on a good roll right now. So in hindsight, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that he got the win at Atlanta.
Well, and for this early in the season too, I think what's really important to think about with all of this is we got William Byron with the win last week, Christopher Bell this week. If we get through Kota and say, you know, it's somebody.
That's Eric snacking on cookie.
Yeah. But say it's somebody like Tyler Reddick that wins, or Kyle Larson, or like one of those bigger names ends up winning, like all of a sudden you've taken out a large portion of the season where you would get those surprise pop-up winners, or as Denny Hamlin would call it, the what was it, the like the gauntlet basically, or the murderer's row of tracks for him. Like that, you got that almost completely out of the way with the favorites winning, who can now just go for broke.
Yep.
It's
a good cookie.
They're spamming num 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 in the chat.
Cookie.
Eric is the cookie monster now.
It's a yellow icing, just like the yellow flag on the final lap that got everyone heated.
Are we getting into that now?
Let's do it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, we might as well. What is a caution? What justifies a caution on the last lap anymore? Because I sure don't know anymore.
It depends on the moment. Actually, no.
What kind of mood are they in? How are they feeling?
Google, what is a caution?
Will the AI thing come up for you?
No, it's the Oxford Dictionary. Care taken to avoid danger or mistakes. Guys, was there danger on the final lap? Did some people make mistakes on the final lap?
There definitely was a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
What was the mistake, Danny?
Not
As
letting
it
them
depends on
finish.
what driver you ask.
So you guys think they shouldn't have thrown the caution on the last lap?
I mean, it was not going to impact it was not. Well, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. It wasn't that crash wasn't going to impact the finish of that race. Like throwing the caution isn't going to make them stop crashing back there. It's what good is that for? It's like, oh, throw the caution, I'll instantly stop crashing. No, they're still a danger back there no matter what.
I think it's to disincentivize 30th place from trying to drive fast through the wreck to gain positions. So I think in a vacuum, it's the right call. It's how they've called it for many years now. If there's a big wreck like that on the final lap, especially near the front of the pack, because I think Barry, when he spun, was 6th or 7th, that's always a caution. 99% of the time, that's a caution, even on the last lap. NASCAR shot themselves in the foot when a week ago in the Daytona 500, they just suddenly decided for whatever reason it wasn't a caution. They were bullied by how aggressive they were with the button Thursday in the duels. So they way overcompensated the other way and said 10-car pileup with guys head first in the wall, no caution in the Daytona 500. So millions of people watched that race and then tuned in to watch the Atlanta race and expected it to be called the exact same way. They also may have seen the Xfinity race the night before that they let go green to the end. So
that wreck was worse, in my opinion, by the way.
I think they're comparable, but yeah, I'd argue the Xfinity one was probably a tiny bit worse, but I still think the Cup wreck before the Daytona 500 weekend would have been a caution 99 times out of 100. So the problem is the lack of consistency one week to the next. But I do think in a vacuum, it was the right decision to throw the caution. Frustrating that we didn't get to see a side-by-side finish at the line potentially. But, I mean, direct your anger towards the drivers who can't seemingly get through a single lap without crashing the first 2 weeks of the year. That's who I put the blame on. At the end of the day, it's a safety concern if you have 30th place incentivized to drive full speed through a wrecked pack like that. So, sorry, Amelia just came in and is tripping over all of my wires. So I'll let you guys take it from here.
This is the
She's
weird
taking
moment.
the cookie from you. She wants to make sure it
Taking the
stays.
cake from me because I already stole a bite. No, I don't need another.
It will be gone at the end of this episode if you don't take it, Amelia.
Cosmo is scratching on my door trying to get the cake.
So this is the weird moment where I'm the middleman on this. Because I agree with both sides and I disagree with both sides, but I think there should be a different solution, more or less. I think this is not one or the other. I think we need to look a little outside the box on this. Should it have been a caution by the letter of the law? Yes, it should have. I mean, it'd be a caution every other lap. I did find Kevin Harvick really funny. You know, he's all getting pissed off at the Daytona 500 staying green with a big ass crash. And I'm like, that's ironic because that was a big talking point this week, how upset he was. And I'm like, oh, you know, by that idea, then maybe Mark Martin should have won the 07 Daytona 500, Kevin. But I get fans being pissed because of how they called it. Because of how, I mean, every single race since Bowman Gray, if you think about it, since Duel 1, I should say, from Duel 2 on, everything since Duel 1 basically has been something like this outside of the truck race at Atlanta. You have being way too quick on the button at the duels. I think we can 100% agree that was wrong. Wasn't going to make a difference. Honestly, like they'd probably crash towards where a lot of the trucks were anyway, so you might as well just hit the button after the leaders cross the line. Truck race, I think was the right call. Wrecks going on all over the place. Xfinity race, definitely right call. There's a debris field all over the place through the tri-oval, both sides of the line. Then you get to Daytona 500, Atlanta Xfinity, and this one. And to me, where I don't know how you do it, right? I think this is for people smarter than me to figure out fully. Because and this is on the officiating side. The driver's side, I'm just going to quickly say and get it out of the way. Like, these are supposed to be the best drivers in the world, and they can't stop freaking crashing. Every single super speedway race, we end up with this stuff. And fans should be pissed because it's just constant. Atlanta was one of the lone outliers for a few races there, and it still has this. But I feel like the mistakes of like 8th on back, or the mistakes of 15th, or the mistakes of 29th, or whatever it is on the last lap shouldn't impact the finish of the race that badly. I don't know how you do it, whether it's you have a button that you can, you have the button, but you can send it out to certain teams that are behind the wreck that the caution's out and have local yellows almost, and let the leaders race. Because I think it is unfair to the fans that they got cheated out of that, roughly because the drivers in the middle of the pack could not hold a damn line to save their lives.
My only counter argument would be that the Daytona 500, the wreck happened on the front row. The Xfinity race, the Xfinity race, the wreck happened around fourth at Atlanta, happened around fourth, and the Cup race, it was seventh. So it wasn't in 29. The 29th wrecks, they'll let it stay green.
No, but
I think they still
this
will.
is a wider. I think this is a wider problem.
But I'm saying it's not. I'm saying I don't think it is. I think if the wreck happens in 30th place, they're not going to throw the caution. I think they've been pretty consistent about not throwing the caution for that the last 10 years, and I think they would probably continue to not throw the caution for it. Same as if it's not a wreck, just a spin. See Riley Herbst in the 500, they let that go green, and I think that's consistent with how they've typically called it the last, again, 10 or so years. But my thing is, if they're wrecking at the front of the field, you got to throw some sort of caution. Your point about maybe trying to turn it into a local yellow would be great. I just don't know how that's possible. That's like another, like you already think about deciding to throw the caution in that moment is a snap decision by race control. And then the drivers themselves have to make snap reactions based on what's going on. If you're also adding in, maybe eighth on back, That's the caution. 6th, 7th, and on front, you guys keep racing, but somehow we're gonna pin it that 8th on back, you're frozen, slow down. I don't know. That's just another snap moment where it's I don't trust race control to make the right call in the moment. I don't know how you do it.
Technology can figure out. I think that
Put
somehow
a speed limiter in the cars, at Andretti where your cart slows down.
Say if NASCAR got a lot of flack over the offseason and the end of last year, talking about how they're going to use AI in different ways. And one of the ways was for the championship, and everyone got all pissed. Well, if you're going to use some kind of advanced AI, let's use it for race control. Let's take the human element out of it. The NFL is doing it with the chain gang. They're basically getting they're moving through. If we're going to compare sports, I think we can compare how we officiate things, where if we're going to have this technology, let's use it. Let's get this little gray area of human error or human correct, but people are upset, out of the way. If it's a caution, it's a caution, or if not, it's not. We can roll with that, or we can try and delve into it so that we can make it safer for those coming in while still getting the race towards the front. If they crash again up there, then okay, whatever. But I think that we're looking at it through a lens that we're using 90s technology still. Like when it's sometimes cautions will be thrown and they have to revert back to where they were. It's we're the top stock car racing league in America. Why can't we figure out with more technology than we had in 1993? That I think that isn't too much to ask at this point. I mean, we've had electronic scoring and stuff like that for 30 something years now. Why not try to advance it?
I'm open to trying. I mean, if there's a way that everyone just knows, hey, if the wreck is in front of you on the last lap and the caution comes out, if you're behind the wreck, slow down. If you're ahead of the wreck, keep racing. If there's a way to get that message across, in the moment, it's the track technology is yellow lights flash all the way around. So if you're a second place car ahead of the wreck and you see the yellow lights, you're going to instinctively burp the throttle. You might slow down. There's a lot of, you're right. The technology is dated, I guess. I just don't know if it's realistic to ask for the kind of innovation that you're asking for. I just don't know if that's realistic.
I don't think anyone's looked into it. That's the problem. I don't think there's been any real difference. For
me, it's simple. For me, it's simple. If they're out of turn 4 onto the front stretch and a wreck happens, hold off on the button as long as you feel comfortable. That's I think everyone would agree there. But if the wreck happens middle of 3 and 4 or sooner, I think you got to call it like you call it every other lap. And it sucks, but the field's frozen. That's the finishing results. That's the consistent way they've done it for over a decade now. And I think we all kind of agree, racing back to the line with scattered cars, telling 35th, hey, gun it, because there's 15 positions in front of you can gain. We all agree that's dangerous. The drivers don't want that. So I just think for the time being, it's as simple as that. If they're out of turn 4, hold off as long as possible. But if it's 3 and 4 or earlier, treat it like it's lap 12. And it sucks. It is what it is. Be consistent. I still think if they had just thrown the yellow at the end of the Daytona 500, wouldn't have changed the winner. I think the outrage at Atlanta would have been far less because everyone would have still been like, oh, that sucks. But they wouldn't have been like, oh, like what? It would have been much more of just a disappointment as opposed to a rage.
I think the biggest outrage is that the 2 races where we let them race, well, no one was going to touch William Byron at that point. They were 2 spaced out. No one was going to touch Austin Hill, 2 spaced out. Already had those wins secured. But then you have one where, and it particularly doesn't help that it was a young driver going for his first win who pushed it 3 wide. Might have had a shot to win it. I know some people were like, it wouldn't matter because Bell's still been on the line. We don't know how in the throttle they were at that point because they knew the caution come out. So we don't know for sure that them coming across the line like that was how they would have actually finished that race. So there's no way to know that at this point. Can't dwell on that by any means, but
No,
it's just more or less like what could have been. We don't really know what that finish could have looked like. In my opinion, this is just my suggestion, my solution. You guys remember a few years back when instead of, it was a weird period where I think if it was like within 2 to go and a caution come out, but they had reached that line on the back stretch. And then it was like, okay, the race is over. Instead of that being what that line is for, white flag, if the leaders have passed that line, then we just don't throw the caution. If the leader hasn't passed that, then sure, throw the caution in the race.
It's still it's still the safety issue. Where's that line going to be? Because if that line's on the back straightaway, I don't think it's comfortable. I'd be comfortable, or any of the drivers would be comfortable with 20 plus cars going through a pack that's crashing if it's still half a lap to go. I think. I mean, remember I googled what is a caution? Care taken to avoid danger. So if it's dangerous, and I think y'all should be taking care. It doesn't matter where the line is, if it's dangerous, I think unless it's, in the tri-oval out of 4 where 2 seconds isn't going to change anything, unless it's that, I think they just need to keep calling the caution consistently.
And to specify, I'm only saying this for these drafting style tracks. I don't want that for Bristol Motor Speedway. I don't want that for every track we go to. Just this one. This is the only one I think we're going to run into this debate. Honestly, we're not. Yeah. If a wreck has happened at Bristol Motor Speedway, that place is too tight to be playing that game. Then for the caution.
I'm just sick of, and maybe this is me. There's 2 things I'm most sick of at super speedways at this point. One is I'm sick of officiating being so integral to how these races finish. I mean, depending, and we'll talk about it later because, on their Hauler Talk podcast, they talked about some of the stuff with the systems, going for next year on, like, might not make a difference this year. It might make a huge difference this year with Talladega being in the final round, who makes it in, who out, and who would win at the end and all of that. I don't want officiating in that kind of way deciding my championship. On the other side of it, I want the drivers to just stop freaking crashing. I'm sick of it. I mean, these races are not impossible to race clean in. We've seen it in the past. We saw the previous generations of drivers go caution-free multiple times at Talladega in what was called one of the craziest eras ever in the late 90s and especially early 2000s. We've seen races where a majority of the pack is finished before. Why can't these drivers do it? It's exactly the same kind of thing I was saying when people were complaining about the Gen 6 package at the end from 2019 until the end of the Gen 6 era, where I'm like, it's not the package's fault they keep wrecking. It's the drivers, because they had similar ones before, but those other drivers, those older drivers, weren't making the same mistakes. I don't know. I think it's a mix of both. Maybe, again, I would love to advance the technology of officiating and take the human element out of it as much as possible. We're already doing it on pit road with the pit box deal. Like, I get that's on a slower scale, but like I think we can advance over time. I think complacency on this is not the way to go. Personally, I think complacency on safety and officiating are 2 areas I think we don't need to stop in any way ever, which is why I get the safety argument. And I do agree, by the letter of law, should have been a caution. I'm just saying more procedurally, I think that we can advance stuff, but at the same time, the drivers, I think, need to be addressed. Like, every time they crash, well, it's a super speedway. It's just how it is. Like, well, no, it's not. Everyone else isn't throwing these stupid ass blocks. Everyone else isn't causing these stupid cautions. Like, why are you?
So what you're saying, Jarrett, your solution is get good.
I mean, no, I fully agree with the drivers should be, like I said earlier, direct your frustration more towards the drivers. But you kind of said it, like, we can't go backwards on safety too. And I've seen people in the
But I
chat
also
saying,
said we can't go backwards on officiating. We shouldn't be complacent with that either. But
no,
the
I agree.
technology on it.
I'm all for upping the technology to get the call right more times than not. But I still think I think AI, let's say, should tell us that wreck at Atlanta was a caution. Like, I think AI would come out and say, yep, that's a caution. And the result wouldn't have changed if NASCAR was consistent. But I see people in the chat saying racing is dangerous. Drivers knew what they signed up for. I'm like, okay, so then why do we have any cautions? Why do we ever throw the caution then? Like, the caution again is thrown so that care is taken to avoid danger.
I mean, we're throwing cautions just to finish the stages so we can bunch them up and have more restarts anyway. So like, that is NASCAR really lived by the pure meaning of cautions in the past?
They've expanded its definition.
We've
that
thrown
is for sure.
BS phantom debris yellows for years before that.
Oh,
100%. This is why I don't agree with a lot of fans saying that stuff, but I understand it because NASCAR has cultivated this culture for 20 years. Like,
they have. You're right. They've expanded what I think people forget. One, because nobody's died in 25 years, but also people forget that cautions are meant to be used when the track there are dangerous conditions on the track. People forget that because NASCAR's turned it into entertainment cautions, stage cautions, and nobody's gotten seriously hurt in 25 years. So I think that's a lot of it as well. I think this conversation would sound way different if it was 25 years ago. I think that time has also, changed people's perspectives dramatically. All I ask for is going forward, throw the caution. If there's a big wreck on the last lap, not coming out of turn 4 on the front stretch, throw the caution. That's how you've done it for years and years. We'll live with the result. Not every finish is going to be 3 wide, Suarez, Blaney, Busch, where they make a freaking 45-minute documentary out of it. It's not going to happen every week. It's not going to happen every year. There's a reason those are special. It sucks in the moment. It's disappointing, but cautions are there to keep the drivers from plowing into each other at 180 miles per hour. It's meant for safety. Drivers want this to be consistently called. That's all I ask for, is for it to be consistently applied. They fricked up when they didn't throw the yellow at Daytona, and now they're paying the price, justifiably so. Fans don't know what a caution is anymore because NASCAR seemingly didn't know what justified a caution anymore. So they should pay the outrage is justified, but I just think going forward, this is how they should do it.
I want to make sure one thing, though. I think we're on the same page on this. This idea that every race, because I've seen this starting to grow, and now especially with this, but it's been growing for a while now with the green, white checkers overtime stuff that we had last year. No, every race does not have to finish under green. We can be pissed about it, but I'm sorry, if they're 20 feet from the line and NASCAR throws a caution, we should not re-rack the field and make them race again. Like, I think that's going to the level of absurdity. And also for a lot of people being like, well, if we didn't have so many overtimes, like we were on one, if I'm not mistaken. We were on one. And that's even been my leeway on it. Like, we got to have overtimes. Let's have one. Like that was not going to prevent this.
We weren't looking at a Nashville Super Speedway repeat from last year.
No. And that's the thing. I want to be fair enough to NASCAR too. That's why I'm putting a lot of the blame on the drivers. And I'm glad Denny Hamlin brought that up, because it's not the older drivers. Well, most of the older drivers doing this. It seems to be the newer ones, or the desperate ones, or the
desperate ones, especially.
Careless. Yeah.
And oddly enough, the most desperate one, Carson Hocevar, he probably made the cleanest move there on the final lap I think we've seen in a while.
Okay. Can we shift first, like maybe a second, or maybe just shift off the topic to the Hocevar topic? Because the Blaney one, I get, like, Blaney being upset and stuff like that, but like this feigned outrage at Carson Hocevar for this race. And it's not just drivers. It's like fans being like, there's Carson trying to kill people. And I'm like, what did he do?
I'm glad you're saying this, because people are talking about Carson Hocevar, or were talking about Hocevar Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, like he was Ross Chastain post Darlington, just wrecked Kyle Larson kind of, where Chastain, had kind of been building towards that. And then, this was just, what is he thinking? What is he doing? Like, people are talking like Carson Hocevar has already done all that. And in trucks he did. And we've given him grief and criticized him for the antics in the truck series. But that was 2 years ago. Since getting to Cup, there have been a couple run-ins here and there. Usually he's back there in 25th, where everyone's doing stupid stuff. We haven't really talked about him. He hasn't really, in my opinion, stepped over the line like he did in trucks, or like some drivers have in Cup in recent years. The Blaney thing was a mistake on his part. That was bad. Can't make that mistake. Ultimately, Blaney still finished top 5. No harm,
Hell of a
really, no
season.
foul. Really impressive drive by Blaney, side note. But all the other stuff, like, I get why Chastain would want to go talk to him. That's fine. They have a good working relationship, get each other's perspective. But the move Hocevar made on Chastain on the final restart, 100% fair game.
That's fair.
It's unorthodox. Sure, usually you keep pushing at these types of tracks. But like you mentioned, desperate drivers. Carson Hocevar and Spire are desperate to make something happen. And it wasn't a dirty move. It was just a bold move. Yeah, Chastain may not like it, but it was not like people, like you said, people are acting like Hocevar is, already committed several cardinal sins. I'm like, no. I don't want to stifle his creativity in trucks. Sure.
Well, no, and last year, I mean, he hooked Burton at Nashville, and he's hooked Gibbs before at Martinsville.
The Roval, he hit a few people at the Roval race. I remember that new hairpin. He was involved in a couple of incidents. It's like he did some stuff, sure, but none of that, in my opinion, reached some of the things he did in trucks, and none of that also, I think, justifies the demands that some fans and media have already started to make about him, that he needs to rein it in, watch out, like do this, that. Like, I mean, at some point he'll probably cross the line and he will need to rein it in a little bit, but I don't think he's there yet. And until he gets there, I don't want to see his creativity stifled. Like the move he made on that final restart, nobody else is making that move. Carson Hocevar did. Before the caution came out, he kind of tried a 200-mile-per-hour bump and run on Christopher Bell. It almost worked. It might have worked. It was kind of clean. Like, every driver races the same. The car is the same. But Carson Hocevar looks different behind the wheel. He's doing things no one else thinks of, just like Ross Chastain did with the Hail Melon, for example. Eventually, Chastain overstepped, and we had to rein him in. Fine. Eventually, Hocevar is going to do something egregious, and we'll have to rein him in on the Cup side as well. But until he does, let's not pretend what he did Sunday was crazy out of line. I don't think it was.
It's very ironic that Ross Chastain, of all people, seemed to have the biggest issue with Carson, because really we're looking at Carson Hocevar is like the new, what we used to know Ross Chastain to be. I mean, they almost seem the same, just Ross got a few more wins out of it during that time period. That's really the biggest difference here. And what I don't like is it seemed like afterwards, Carson might have, felt like there was a need to apologize to Hendrick for not going with Kyle Larson. Maybe there was too much.
It was a preemptive apology. That's Ross told him to say that.
Yeah. Too much, yeah, and he's basically like, I got a call after Darlington one time. You don't want to get that call, young man, basically. And I don't know. I don't like that because, one, Carson Hocevar, he's not teammates of Ross or Kyle Larson. He's driving for Spire. Yes, they might have an alliance that goes all the way back to Hendrick, but they're not the same team. And in my opinion, he's going to get his first win. He's going to get Spire their first earned win. Not, nothing against that 2019 Daytona, but they want to actually cross the line first. They actually want to earn one, and they're trying real hard. That team has been quietly coming up the ranks. I find it very appropriate now that they have the Furniture Row font, because they remind me a little bit about Furniture Row now. The way they've steadily climbed up, they have a lot more cars than Furniture Row had, but they're steadily making the climb, and I'm rooting for Spire at this point. I want to see them do good. And, it's an interesting situation of Carson Hocevar right now. I can't help but like him. He's always been good to me. He's always good to people that I see at the track. He's pretty funny online. If you guys don't follow him on Twitter, you're missing out a little bit.
Well, and so I think Blaney obviously should have an issue with him.
Sure.
If I get spun out, I'm racing for the win, and I got to make a mad charge back. I get that. And there might have been other ones back and forth. Like, I think Kyle Busch over the radio. Like, I don't take the radio chatter as being.
Oh, I saw the replay. Hocevar cut him off pretty bad. He did. But I also watched a lot of in-car cameras, and I saw a lot of people cutting each other off pretty bad. So, I mean.
But my point is more like stuff going on in-car. Like, they're amped up. It's going to be that way during the race, and afterwards they'll talk or they won't talk or whatever. But one of the problems I had with Chastain is that, like, he'd get out of the car and he wouldn't own it. Be like, I know, man. I'm sorry. Like, I'm, sorry, Uncle Rick. Like, no. Stop with the apologizing. And the problem that I had with Carson Hocevar is that he's apologizing in one interview, and then he's like, I'm not here to be in a boy band. And it's like, okay, pick a damn lane. Like pick, like you've taken the raw strategy and now went a step further. Like this apologizing to Rick Hendrick thing. I get they have an alliance and all of that, but if Rick Hendrick or Jeff Gordon, whoever's in charge of the back and forth of that, is that damn soft that pushing somebody in not pushing somebody that's not on your team to a win and going for your first win is this egregious sin, then we have a real culture problem with the owners as well.
Oh
because
yeah,
I'm sorry, that's soft.
Well, I get what you're saying there. Don't say one thing on the Fox TV camera and then say something else to Noah Lewis on YouTube. Like they can still find Noah Lewis, and just because you said on TV that mean they can't find that somehow.
I would say this. I think he's talking about two different things, because I think the apology to Hendrick was because of the alliance, and from his perspective and everyone's perspective, he's the one who gave Bell the push to the win. But if you look more closely, one, he didn't have a choice. He was boxed in on the inside. He was not clear of Blaney. So even if he wanted to push Larson, he couldn't have. And two, like I said earlier, it wasn't a push he gave Bell. He tried to knock him out of the way. He was going to he was going to make the pass himself. It was a bump and run. If that race goes to the checkered, good chance Hocevar beats Bell to the line. Larson might beat them both, but it wasn't a push to help Bell. He was trying to knock Bell out of the way. It just looked like a push to the win because of when the caution came out, which Hocevar can't control. That's 3 rows behind him. And I think that was what the apology was for. I never heard Hocevar apologize directly for the Blaney incident or for the Kyle Busch thing. He did say, there's some stuff I can clean up and learn, which I don't mind him saying. That's not an apology. That's just an admission that he's 22 years old and has a lot to learn. So that's all I'd say is the apologizing seemed more about just what happened at the finish, which I think was he didn't need to apologize. I never heard him apologize for the aggressive driving, I guess. And that's where I think he differed from Chastain, because Chastain would seemingly show strong remorse for the aggressive driving. And I didn't see that from Hocevar. So yeah, he did kind of say two different things in two different interviews, but I think he was talking about different things. So that's why I don't think he was being that inconsistent. But
in my opinion, at this point, does he have to apologize for the aggressive driving? Because he's exactly what you'd expect a early 20-year-old second-year driver to be like, right?
I didn't hear it. Did Kyle Larson apologize for the Austin Cindric incident?
Apparently, I think he gave the spotter, a team member, the card, and had him give the card to Larson, call him. It was Cindric. We can go to that one too. I think what Kyle Larson did was much more egregious on that restart than anything Hocevar did on the overtime.
Oh, then Hocevar spinning Blaney was bad, but on the overtime, Larson's move was
consistent. It's consistent with Kyle Larson. He does this over and over again. He did. The biggest one he did to Chase Elliott on the straightaway at Auto Club. And okay, I didn't see I was clear. Well, it's and I hear the spotter stuff back and forth and all of that, but Kyle Larson's done this numerous times, and everyone just sort of forgets about it because he's Kyle Larson.
He's the greatest driver of all time, Jarrett. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, somebody's going to plow his ass in the wall at some point doing the same damn move. And then he's going to get upset about it. Or he should be consistent and be like, well, I do the same damn thing.
Well, and I'll say this. I don't remember exactly what he said after the Pocono deal with Hamlin, because what he did to Cindric was similar, probably a little more egregious than what Hamlin did to him at Pocono a couple of years ago. And I remember there's a lot of back and forth there. I think the worst thing Larson said after that was, Denny's always right. I think that's when he said that quote. That's fine. That's okay.
Go back further than that. Remember the clash at LA when we went, Eric, and he did that to Justin Haley, put him into the wall.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Larson's got a richer history of these kinds of, I'm not going to call them outbursts. The Haley one was an outburst. The others are just very aggressive. Let's just call them selfish moves. He has a history of making very selfish moves to protect his position. And the thing I couldn't stand most is the number of people who think Austin Cindric is 50% to blame for that incident. Are you kidding me? He could have lifted. Or Kyle Larson could, realize there's a guy to his outside and not race him like a dick. Yes, Cindric, sure, he could have lifted, but also he wasn't expecting a guy to just clear him off his nose. at
Yep.
that point in the race. So no, that Austin Cindric shares 1% of the blame because yes, physically he could have lifted earlier if he'd somehow foreseen Larson running him up the track. So I don't know. I that's my bigger thing is I'm not going to come down too hard on Larson because a lot of guys make these moves, but he has made this move several times. And kind of like we talked about with Hocevar, just own it. Don't try to say, oh no, Cindric is to blame. Like, come on, guys. No. Kyle Larson did that move. And if Cindric wants to get him back in a few weeks, he has that right.
Well, and even if he does lift too, it looked like Byron's car, unless
But Byron was going right up to the wall too.
Well,
They were going to,
And the handling was an issue. Like that was a big issue. And it seemed like a lot of those cars at the end of the night, especially the ones who didn't get new tires like Blaney did, they were starting to drift up the track and get tight. Like I think if he lifts, he still gets crashed. And I don't really blame Byron for his car, like just, getting really tight either. Like that's just the way it's going. You're bracing it to the edge and that happens sometimes. Like those things, like handling issues here and there, stuff like that. There were some guys who would kind of drift up into people and kind of, rub doors and fenders a little bit. Like that happens at handling racetracks and super speedway. Like, people forgot about that because we've had such, really great surfaces and cars that can just stick on super speedways for so long. Like this was a kind of normal thing back in the day. Go back and watch before 2006, a Talladega race, and see how many times people would drift up into each other, or a Daytona pre-2011. Like this is something that I think is really new to fans, and people are acting like Atlanta is just unlocked this amazing thing. But it's like, well, Atlanta is a track that even with the old configuration wore down insanely quickly. And this to me, kind of moving on into another side of things, this to me is like it's the key for super speedway racing, one way or another, whether it's track, whether it's tires, whether it's aero changes, whatever it might be. Handling has to matter. If the more handling matters, the more you put it in the driver's hands, the more you end up spreading out the pack a little bit more. You can't do the crazy ass bump drafts, and you usually don't get as many of the giant crashes. Until the last lap, I think the biggest crash was like 4 or 5 cars.
Oh, I'm with you. Handling needs to matter because naturally the way Atlanta is configured, the way the cars handle there, the fact that there's space between their bumpers, I think just made for better racing. It led to less of those, offset bumper crashes. Like you just said, it was easier to then avoid wrecks, not just pile into them when something did happen. Like, yeah, Atlanta has become the best super speedway style racing on the circuit. It looks like you said, like Talladega did 20 years ago or Daytona 20 years ago. So it's kind of nostalgic in that respect.
The way they race reminds me of how an old EA Sports video game style of racing feels. Like, you'd be at, your majority of your intermediates, but wouldn't be spaced out. It'd actually be, actually pretty close to everybody, and you're making runs, you're making moves, and all kinds of things are happening around you. And that's exactly what this style of racing is. It's close to what we see at Daytona, Talladega, but a more controlled version of it. And like we were saying, handling does matter a little bit more at this track, and it's a fun super speedway racing.
Yeah, you control. Like their drivers are kind of out of control, but in a way, it's like the car, they have more control over what happens to them. At Daytona and Talladega, you're just riding in line, hoping people in front and behind you don't push bad. Whereas Atlanta, it's like, no, you can the number of times guys would just switch lanes per lap was crazy. It felt like guys were constantly moving from one lane to the other, and it was just great. Just really, really good stuff until the last lap.
I don't know how many more years we'll see this style of Atlanta, because if y'all saw the pictures, it's baking in the Atlanta sun is starting to take its toll on the surface real fast. And so I don't know how long we're going to see this. It's still going to be banked 28 degrees, but I don't know that we're always going to see this version of Atlanta, but enjoy it while we have it. I've gone now 2 times to see the racing at the new Atlanta. I think we may go this summer. But I don't, if you two haven't made a trip to Atlanta, I'd say go if you can. And the chat too, go if you guys can. I would definitely recommend going at some point.
That summer Atlanta race, just on a side here before we move on, the heat in the track, even at night, compared to what we saw in this race because they're like in the 50s and 40s during the race. It's going to be fun. Oh, somebody's buzzing.
It'll be even more slick. Am I buzzing?
It might be. I
Is
think
it
it's
me?
better now. I think it's better now.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, it sounded like a bee.
Whoops.
Like boom, 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 boom. Sorry. Oh,
Well-
I like barely hear it. I think it's good though. It's not my mic for once.
Something interesting this weekend, guys. We saw the 34 car had Aaron's on the car. The return of Aaron's, the Aaron's Dream Machine was back this weekend. With that, do you guys remember their old classic mascot, the Lucky Dog? That's how we kind of got the name, the Lucky Dog. Well, I find it very ironic that the former driver of that 34 car, Michael McDowell, must have embraced his old team's new sponsor because he wanted 6 of those Lucky Dogs this weekend.
Yeah,
Hot
like
dog.
early on in the race, I think he went down 6 laps because he went to the garage because of a power steering issue under caution. They went that's the key to this. He went under caution. If he went under green,
Yeah, it lost
There's-
more laps.
yeah, there's no way this happens. I think it ties the record from 2012. I think McMurray was it that got it.
They said it was McMurray. I forget what year and what track.
It was Talladega, I think.
That would make
Because-
sense.
But he got like 6 lucky dogs or something in that race too. I mean, you're looking at the bottom right now, right underneath us, McDowell +5 at the moment, 13th in the grid.
He finished
Also,
13th in the race. Big points day.
Also, side note, why couldn't Aaron's have got back with the 34 when Michael McDowell was still driving the car? Because it'd been like, a full circle moment coming back to him after,
That's true.
the spectacular flip at Texas in 08 and then lost opportunity, guys.
Don't want to ruin their legacy, I guess.
They went out on top or on their roof, as you
On
might
their
say.
top. and then back on the roof, and then back a couple times down to
Ugh.
Texas banking.
Yeah.
But
And then they went up again at Watkins Glen of David Rubin a few years later.
yeah,
Unprofessional little scaredy cat.
But then they got a win or two along the way. Brian Vickers.
yeah, that's right. 2013, I think, New Hampshire.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Welcome
yeah,
back, Aaron's.
very lucky dog. Very lucky dog for McDowell.
I thought you took that cookie away. Where'd you get more, Eric?
Mork showed up magically. Poof. I can't help it. I have such a sweet tooth, man. You put a cookie cake within 100 feet of me, and it's getting gone quick.
So a little bit more on that cookie cake thing. I think the whole reason we started doing the cookie cake was for the meme of it, basically. Like the first ever trip we took to a race was Bristol 2019, and we got a cookie cake. That thing was gone in like an hour at the house between Jarrett, Rusty Walrus, and a few others.
The Cloud House. Oh, the good old Cloud House.
Cookie cakes are great. They're tasty. They're consistent. And you guys we've done really cool, you guys saw photos of the icing and stuff. You can really customize it. They're very customizable. It's good. Who doesn't love a cookie cake?
Feel so bad for the audio audience who's just all they can hear is us talking cookies and
You can hear me chewing. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Spotify. That was Jared.
There was the Chase Elliott incident too, where he got taken out in a wreck.
Really, all the Hendrick guys kind of had some weird moments. Bowman had something, unfortunate happen to him too.
So I kind of joked just because the joke was too easy, and Twitter is just as a collective just very dumb when it comes to sarcasm.
Call him out.
So I put death, taxes, and Stenhouse sparking off a big crash, and I had all 6 Stenhouse fans angry at me and getting mad at me. And it's clear as day based on if you look at my timeline on race days, I'm usually just joking around or ranting. And it was I had all these people upset at me. To me, honestly, looking back on it too, it really just seemed like Stenhouse kind of went down a little bit. He was kind of forcing the 19 down. The 19 also got tight and sent him up. And it was more of just a handling racing kind of deal. I really don't think that Stenhouse is out there committing acts of terrorism or something. Like it was not as egregious as some of his previous actions.
I would
really
agree.
I didn't think it was that bad.
I would agree. I thought I'd give like 55% of the blame to Stenhouse, 45 or maybe 35 to Briscoe, and then like Blaney coming down in front of them both was sort of what triggered these responses. I hate to use this phrase. I think it's overused, but it was kind of a racing deal, certainly an Atlanta racing deal. And Elliott, I think it was LaJoy and Keselowski were just wrong place, wrong time. So it sucks, but it is Atlanta is still a super speedway after all. You get taken out sometimes. Chase Elliott before that, though, really fast in stage one. So at least wanted to mention that he had a really good car.
Yeah, he did. But
Side note, we're gonna get the super chats later. I just love this guy who always shows up, and Andrew Winslow takes on the Sal persona.
Yeah.
I love it. That's gonna be the meme for the year for the super chat stage break. But I know that before we get there, we got a few more things to cover.
I asked
Danny,
the chat, any Stenhouse fans in the chat, and so far nobody has raised their hand. This is very sad.
I'm asking people to tell me the correct first name of Mr. Stenhouse.
I just scrolled back up. Not one person said, "Hey, I'm a Stenhouse fan." Don't be
and I feel
shy,
like
y'all. Come on.
He gets too much hate.
62% say his name is Ricky Stenhouse. 20% say Larry. 11% Ricky Stenhouse. 7% Ricardo.
Ricardo, I like that.
Like I think he gets too much hate sometimes. Like he's done stupid things.
He's a
earned the
two-time
nickname.
Xfinity Series champion. We talked a few weeks ago. Who is it? A few weeks ago that we said might be a Hall of Famer. Allgaier. Ricky Stenhouse is a Hall of Famer before Justin Allgaier is. That's how good. Like Ricky Stenhouse, Daytona 500, 2 Xfinity titles. I'm just saying, Ricky Stenhouse.
Imagine Austin Dillon.
Wasn't it? I think Grant that came on and had that argument about Stenhouse.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he is a Hall of Famer.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Austin Dillon are Hall of Famers, confirmed.
I'm saying he's ahead of people you might be surprised he'd be ahead of, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I do think he has done a ton of stupid things and earned the nicknames he gets. At the same time, I also think that he gets overhated and he becomes the easy scapegoat.
Agree.
Now, Danny, we have good news to talk about.
We do
mostly.
have some good news.
Until right at the end, it's like good news, good news, good news. And then right at the end of this segment, it's just one little sucker punch right at the end.
Yeah, get ready for the old low blow I'm going to give you guys here. Anyways, TV ratings. We have Cup Series having 4.586 million viewers. It's up 1% from 2024's 4.546 million. The race did peak out at 5.570 million viewers at the finish. Everyone knows when to turn in. And it was the most watched second race of the year since 2021, which was the Daytona Road Course, which earned 4.75 million views. And it was the most watched Atlanta race since 2019, which had 5.067 million views. But you get a photo finish like we had last year. Yeah, that's gonna get you some more eyes on it for the next year. The Xfinity Series did have 1.306 million viewers, which was up 10% from the 2024 event. And it was the most watched Xfinity Atlanta race since 2017. It was only beat in Saturday viewership by the Lakers game, which was on ABC, and it beat the likes of the PGA Tour, NHL, and NCAA basketball. The trucks had 675,000 viewers, which is down 26% year over year.
They need Haley Deegan.
I don't know if it's necessarily
the
drivers who are keeping people from tuning into that, or if it might be something else.
Well, they were down at Daytona too, while all the others were up. Everything was up but trucks at Daytona.
I hate to say it. I really hate to pick on them. Is this the Jamie Little effect?
I mean,
and the whole booth has been bad. I don't want to just pick on her. The whole booth has been bad the last couple weeks.
Yeah, but she's been like ear piercing bad.
I mean, she's the constant. She's the anchor. she's not being put in a position to succeed.
She like, I get that she's not in the position to succeed, but like, she's not good enough to succeed.
I think
have the confidence up there to succeed.
You're probably right, but I've seen enough of her on pit road over the years to know that I don't know why she talks in slow motion when she's in the booth.
It's such a change. I don't know what happens.
Yeah, it's rough.
I mean, when you have Brock Beard getting so mad, he gives his call on Twitter for it instead, and it's like, here's
free.
A better one. Like,
yeah,
I think this is, like I said, I think it was last week with her, and this was even worse, where is one of the first times, I think it might be the first time where I ever said, like, I could do better. I know I could. Like,
it's just rough.
Yeah.
Who did they have? Who are the color commentators this week? Because I remember Daytona, it was, I think, Harvick and Logano. And Harvick's good and Logano's good, but they all sounded so uncomfortable up there. Like, they didn't know when they were supposed to speak.
Brad was one. Brad actually ended up having to
it was Brad and
Jamie Little at some point.
It was Brad and Joey. Times. That's right. It's just they're making Jamie Little do what Adam Alexander has done for years. The problem is Adam Alexander had years of play-by-play experience before they put him in that very difficult spot. Jamie Little has like a year of play-by-play experience, and I can't say it was a great year either. So it's just rather, I legit think the broadcast being just lackadaisical from cameras to commentary, I think the broadcast is hindering the Truck Series more than anything right now.
We have a perfectly available Rick Allen, who is now doing PA announcing for ISC and NASCAR facilitated venues, from what I can tell. And instead of, him calling races for Fox, he used to call Truck Series races for years. We know he's good at it. He can do it. But instead, he's doing PA.
Well, and the worrying part with trucks is, last year it was up a ton, and the year before that it was up a lot. And we had said, to me, my theory is the Truck Series is kind of the canary in the coal mine of the diehard fan. I'm sorry, you're not going to get some random person who's never watched a NASCAR race be like, man, this Truck Series race at noon on Fox Sports 1 on a Saturday is really getting my attention over, the Lakers game or whatever it's playing.
Anything else, yeah.
Yeah, this is the diehards watching. This is the people who are going to dive into, 10 hours of NASCAR stuff during the weekdays and keep track of the young drivers coming up and know everybody's name by heart by the time the season starts, who's running in a 25th place Nice truck or something. This is not your casual fan for the most part. And like, if they know what to expect and it's that bad, I mean, there's the amount of people I saw in my chat after that race when I was talking, were like, yeah, so I just muted it. And like some of the younger fans being like, yeah, I'm going full boomer. I'm putting on, MRN over it anymore. It's rough. And it's bad.
And it's not just the commentary, it's everything. I mean, the sound mixing for Fox, how they ever won an Emmy is beyond me.
They had so many issues on Sunday. They had Corey Himes, a cutaway car, guys. Did you know that?
Yeah, a lot of it's across the board with Fox these days, but trucks especially, you can tell it's a skeleton crew trying to put this thing together, and it's just rocky.
And then, I can say I'm not a fan of Jamie Little's like lead commentary on truck races, but then I feel bad for her on Sundays when she's actually trying to give a pretty good segue into a segment about pit road, about pit crew members for Hendrick. And they're hitting the wrong buttons and firing things that shouldn't be going on top of what she's trying to say. That happened as well.
Yeah, and then they're talking about I mean, even back to Bowman Gray, crowd is going wild.
You never hear him. That's every broadcast, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, the engines sound kind of good, I guess, but you never hear anything beyond them. It sounds every race, especially every truck race, looks like a COVID race because there's not a lot of people in the stands. You don't hear
a good comparison.
And you can tell half the time the booth is remote. So it feels like a COVID race. It's just not, doesn't feel like a big experience at all.
It's just rough. You know, it's not rough though, Danny.
What's that?
The poll.
The poll? Poll? Episode 300 poll?
That's a good poll.
Yeah, what we get, Danny?
11,000 people voted in the Iceberg poll after Atlanta. 37% said this was a great race. 48% said this was a good race, meaning 85% of the 11,000 appreciated this Atlanta race. 10% said it was average. 5% gave this a negative rating.
Honestly, I'll be honest. I think that 85 is too low for positive. I think other than the finish, the race was great, but is what it is. Isaac got the first comment here. Said, what a great racetrack. Why don't we have this track as the finale? And before you say this track shouldn't be crowning champions, the format just awarded a guy with 7 top 5s and 13 top 10s and a 17th place average finish a championship. Championships don't mean jack squat
And you
anymore.
want to make it worse.
At least we'll be honest about it if this was the finale. So there's Isaac's take on it. Looking at the comments in the gutter, Ross Chastain said death taxes and NASCAR getting the wrong call in the last lap. Tristan 471 said good race, dumbass finish. They need to let them race the line rather than throw a caution with less than half a lap to go. Let's see a couple others kind of on that same side of it. Joey Sopranzi says the inconsistency is mind-boggling. Thunder Horse says Hocevar out there trying to meet all his heroes. Flying Pizza 98 said I still think they should have kept it as an intermediate, but I can't deny the racing is exciting.
I do wish, and everyone said this, that they did this to Texas instead and then just like repaved Atlanta normally. That's what I wish they'd done, but oh well.
Yeah, because I think if Atlanta went back to an intermediate as it wears off, and then Texas had this treatment, they'd have over 100,000 people there. I mean, look at how many people were at the race last year. It's like 75,000.
Texas's crowds have been on the up and up a little bit the last couple of years, and I don't know why. The racing hasn't gotten much better. A little maybe, but
one date. I think that might be a big part of it. One date, and it's not in the fall anymore.
No, that's true. The one date the last 2 years has really boosted attendance.
I still say Texas. We just need to make it 3 miles. Texas Mega Speedway. It needs to happen.
Greg Nazi says, great. Now that bot saying that Bell is going to win every race has validation.
Shout out to Marcus. I don't know if he's in y'all's comment section. He gets in every single one of my comment section. He's
in mine. I've seen him in yours. I've seen him in NASCAR's. I've seen him in like David Land's. Like he watches every video.
He is I don't know how he does it. He must. He might be AI, but if he is, he's a very sophisticated AI, and I respect it.
If he's not, props to you, man. ERG 199 with 3 broken heart emojis for Suarez. Yeah, Suarez. You could tell how down he was with that. Like. That's a dude whose confidence I feel like is shot or really low. And I think knows that no matter what happens, the exit is pretty apparent. I kind of floated it out there after the race that even if Zilich isn't ready to go up, I think Suarez doesn't come back. And I could even see, especially if there's not a ride that opens up just yet, and they need a sabbatical year for a driver to just jump in the 99 for 1 year, trophy hunt, and then go on. Like, why not Kyle Busch? It'd be an upgrade for him. Be an upgrade for the team.
Ooh, so your prediction is Suarez is out and they signed Kyle Busch to a 1-year deal.
What if Kyle Busch is a 1-year deal and then Benny Hamlin is out the next year or something from JGR? He needs it's like Casey Kane going to Red Bull before going to Hendrick.
But he was at Red Bull for what, like 3 years, 2 years, 3 years?
Casey Kane?
Yeah.
He was at Red Bull for 1 year, 2011. He went at the end of 2010 when the 83 car had a swapping of drivers.
I guess he wasn't full in that car the whole year. Then I was like, I know he was there in 2010.
Yeah, he was there. I think for like 3 races or 5 or something.
You're right.
By the way, we've hit the point in the show where I'm like, okay, I want some cookie cake now.
I was trying to get you. I was like, come on. I know Jarrett's been exercising. He's getting in good shape. I'm not going to make him stuff his face on camera for us. But like Danny, you and
I've been exercising too. I've been going to Planet Fitness like twice a day this week.
Me too. But Jarrett a couple weeks ago said he ate his first hamburger in like a year. And so I'm like, damn, all right. He is on a health kick. I respect it.
I'm trying to grow his dad bod somehow. We got to do it.
I fell off the wagon for 2 days, by the way. Like
you had 2 hamburgers?
I ate a couple. I ate some Oreos and Taco Bell and drank a bunch of beer. And then I weighed myself and I weighed 2 pounds less.
Nice.
And I was just like, I don't know how this happened. I'm down like 30 pounds on the year. I'll take it.
You heard it here first, folks. Beer and Oreos. The new
beer,
Ozempic.
Oreos, and Taco
He's living
Bell
that Tony
chicken.
Stewart diet, everybody.
Soda beer cookies, some Taco Bell with chicken. Like, that's the way. No, I mean, I got back on it, today, but I was just like, damn. But just saying.
I know there's someone in his house who will appreciate that cookie cake, though.
Yeah.
Brett.
Well, no, because he can't. I don't think he can have anything with any kind of like flour or grain in it. So
you have a gluten-free dog?
Unfortunately,
well, it also has chocolate in it, and dogs can't have chocolate. So
I guess that's true.
And he's a poodle. So
wait,
so
dogs can't have chocolate?
Don't get any ideas over there.
I've been feeding Cosmo Crunch bars every day.
How's it going, Jeff?
Just kidding.
Jeff Fabian in the chat says, "Don't you dare drop the weights." That reminds me when I went my high school, Boylan. In Rockford back in the day, we had this thing called Iron Titans, where all summer long before football camps opened up and training camp and all that, you'd work out a ton and then also have a practice afterwards. And one of the practices, and this time, I'm the same height I am now, 6 foot, 14-year-old. I'm a string bean. I'm like 130 pounds, like just lanky, no muscle on me. So what they did is they gave us 45-pound weights, all of us freshmen, and they had us hold it over our heads and walk around the practice football fields, around the baseball diamond. And like the entirety of that was like a half mile at the end of the day. And if we dropped it either on our heads and killed ourselves, or we just dropped it in general, we'd have to carry it back and then restart until we finish it all the way around. And it's like 100-degree weather out. Back then they didn't have all the rules where, you could only practice for like 3 hours during the day. It was like, so it was like
no labor laws.
It was 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Workouts, whether it be like weights, whether it be, different training for skill outside. And then we'd have like a 15-minute lunch and then like a 4 or 5 hour practice. And it was awesome, man. I gained so much between that year and then the working out I did the next. I went from like 130 to like 155, and it was all muscle. Like I had an 8-pack at one point. It was amazing. Like it was awesome. Now, of course, I went running and lost a bunch of that.
Then you had 2 Oreos and it ruined everything.
That's the thing. I was a teenager, so I could eat whatever the hell I wanted. It was amazing. They're like, make sure you eat this, this, and this. And I'm like, F that. I'm having the entire row of Oreos tonight. I'm gonna follow it up with a 6-pack of Mountain Dew.
Eat them by the sleeve.
And then I'm gonna, I'll get maybe some Code Red if I'm hanging out with people. Get a Pepsi. Like I was eating like a frat boy. But I had like the metabolism of a racehorse. So I was just able to just have everything go right through me and I'd stay the same. But it reminded me of that when he said, don't drop the weights.
Jeff said he did P90X and completed a course. Never again, he says.
See, I don't know if I've sent it to you guys, and I'll probably have to I don't know if I've shown you, Eric. I managed to find one of the old Houston Texans workout plans. It has like the diet, the strength and conditioning, like all of it. And so I followed that on top of when Adrian Peterson put his workout out, and it works amazingly. Like
I was going to say, you don't want to pick like a more winning routine and then whatever the Houston Texans are putting out, but Adrian Peterson's fine. Adrian Peterson's good. There you go.
Jeff will probably appreciate this. For a while, I've been going to Planet Fitness like at least once a day, a lot of times twice a day. I've graduated from treadmill and now I'm doing the elliptical because honestly I'm getting a better workout in by doing the elliptical. I'm getting in more miles by doing that and burning more calories. But what's fueling my time on the elliptical and making it fly by is watching people from Jeff's OCRP server, particularly Bay Area Bugs and Seb Ryan. I'm looking like an idiot dying laughing at some of the adventures these guys are getting into on there. and it makes the time fly a lot better.
That's funny.
I just,
That's great.
I just realized I still have the 3 negative comments to read.
Hit us with the gutter.
All right. The gutter comments here. Andrew says, unbelievably mid race. Also sad that Byron got wrecked. Okay, then. The man, 16 iffy, says NASCAR sucks now. Wonder why
Dang.
that got down.
What? It sucks. I'm gonna stop watching.
Then the Sloth Nerd 64 says Bell won, so it's negative for me. We have found the final boss battle for David Bell.
Wow. I didn't know Christopher Bell had like adamant haters.
Like, how do you just become a Christopher Bell hater?
He's probably done some. What has he done? He's got to have done something.
He was involved in starting that big wreck in 2021 for the 500.
The second that come out of my mouth, I realized, I was like, oh, I know.
I forgot about that. Lap 13 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He ruined that whole race. Damn you. I hate Christopher Bell now. God, he sucks.
It's been over 4 years, and Riss has not forgiven Christopher Bell because that was the only Daytona 500 she's been to. And
I wish that out of context Eric Eastep account was still around, because Eric, you just said a few one-liners that'd be perfect for that account tonight.
She's in the chat. You ruined my 500. Oh, we had stayed there for like the entirety of Speed Weeks, and like had been down there for a while. And like she came to Florida with me the next year to see me run my marathon, and she had to leave, I think, Thursday morning. And so she didn't get to see the 2022 race or any of the racing that weekend. And
brutal.
It was rough. The other 2 races I feel like are really easy to just quickly knock out.
It was basically the same as last year. Kyle Busch won the truck race. Austin Hill won the Xfinity race, and nobody tried to pass him.
The Austin Hill one, yeah, that's just the Austin Hill Invitational. I just posed the question, like, is Austin Hill the greatest Xfinity super speedway driver ever?
Oh, he's definitely in that conversation, if not leading the conversation.
This is the best dynasty I think we've seen, like a 3-year run or so, where it's just, God, you can't stop him. And it's him, it's his car. I mean, they share the prestige.
It's mainly the car when you see what Jesse Love's also doing.
I love how pissed the chat's getting, but it's like you replace the names with like Dale Earnhardt Jr. as that name, and everyone's like, yeah, it's the greatest ever. And it's like, no, the car had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I'm not ready to say. I mean, I don't know the numbers in front of me. I know Austin Hill's right there with Earnhardt Jr. and Senior and a lot of the stats. I'm not ready to say he's the best ever. I'm ready to say maybe this is the best like 2 to 3 year run that we've seen.
Look, Austin Hill is so good. They made 2 of them, and we're going to see them both this weekend. It's clone is racing.
This is getting out of hand.
The big bullies.
The big bully and the little bully.
Oh gosh, poor Jeff. He's a Sheldon Creed fan. He had to sit there and watch nothing but second place finishes in that same equipment.
Brutal.
But that was just a clinic. And then Kyle Busch barely winning over Stuart Friesen. Like, at least they challenged in that race.
That was an excellent. The final, I don't remember how long that final run was. It was so good. It was thrilling. And
You
even
really
for a
didn't know
moment,
who was going to win.
yeah, Stuart Friesen nosed out in front. You're like, oh my gosh, Stewie, where did he come? And then it's, it ends up being Kyle. But that was a great race, the final
Like,
run.
if you just look at the final result, okay, Kyle Busch won a truck race. I'm not surprised. But if you see how he got the win, it's a little bit more impressive, honestly.
Yeah, really. Yeah, he didn't just control the race like Austin Hill did. Like, no, there was guys swapping the lead every other lap. It was great. That was. I need to go back and rewatch those like last 20 laps or so, because that was fun.
Well,
Chat was one Ryan Blaney, like a few more positions from Ryan Blaney to getting a sweep this weekend.
Chad had a good point.
They were on one.
Yes,
the obvious picks paid off this time.
Well played, chat. Well played.
We're gonna look at later how that did for you guys in a point standings, though.
Yes. Don't get too excited.
But first, I think you have another segment, I should say, not a new segment.
Yes, it is time. We're a little bit later than the 1 hour mark, but it is time for the first super chat stage break. So let me make this work and see everybody. And Jarrett, you got a 3-minute timer for me, bud?
Gotcha.
All right, Hunter Nixon Fishing starting us off with 1999. Appreciate that, Hunter. Hot take, but people way overrate the racing on the old Atlanta. Don't get me wrong. I liked old Atlanta, and the drivers loved it, but the racing a lot of times was a snoozer. The racing product now is much better. You're not the only one I've heard that from. I've been to races at old Atlanta. I've been to races at new Atlanta. I liked old Atlanta, but I mean, to a casual racing audience, what we have now is going to get their attention better. There's no debating that, honestly.
Like I said, I wish we could kind of get traditional Atlanta back and then have turned Texas into this, because I'd like to have both. But
Right.
I mean, shoot, with this, the way the current car is and everything, I think the super speedway style, we would have had to sit through a few years of fresh repaved Atlanta. That wouldn't have been all that great. So I'm kind of glad they did what they did. Old
This is
Atlanta
the
was
next
cool,
gen.
but
This is the next gen car, though. I mean, this car has been
Yeah.
outstanding at intermediates.
what are the fresh repaved intermediates? Texas, it's not great there. It's
Yeah,
been-
but Texas is just foobar.
true, it's broken regardless. Yeah.
Spencer Purcell, appreciate being a member for 44 months, and Danny B super fans, 300 reasons to lick the like button. Episode 300.
Can we get to 300 likes tonight? I don't know what we're at right now. I don't see the number in front of me.
It says 181 on my end. You know,
Okay,
I mean, you know, we're going to play the game regardless, but if you guys wanted to like it, I mean, you can. You don't have to. You're not
it's
required to.
arbitrary, but like
We would
I'm
like,
helping us
there's
out.
450 watching. We'd like to hit 300 likes. I mean, you know, if you guys want to. Alex Luff, appreciate the $5. First, my dog Gordy gives me a stink face. Then my driver Logano finishes mid-pack. Can it get any worse? Race ends under caution. Dang it, NASCAR.
not the stink face.
SW, appreciate the $1.99. This is a reference to what episode number we are. This is NWP. And then Hunter Nixon Fishing coming in again. Very, very, very generous. Appreciate this, Hunter. $99.99. He dropped 100 on us tonight. Appreciate that, Hunter. All that you do for us and your support each and every
Very
week.
generous.
Congrats, boys. Here's the 300 more. If this $100 warrants a caution, so be it. Well, you did kind of pause this for a second, so kind of
That's
NWP
funny.
caution. I'm sure we don't have much more time, so I'm going to do two more just to be on the safe side here. Alex Luff, appreciate the $5. If I could, I would share my homemade mac and cheese for this great occasion. No need for mac and cheese. I have cookie cake. I'm fine.
Cookie.
All the calories, none of the protein.
And then Ross Crashtain, appreciate the $5. We'll end a few. So if most agree that the duel's yellow shouldn't have been a yellow, if most agree that the duel's yellow shouldn't have been a yellow, but this should have, where is the line or track or metaphorically? Well, we kind of spent a lot of time on that already, didn't we?
I say turn 4. If it's like after turn 4, try to hold off.
I feel like we kind of agreed that it was somewhere in the pack more than the track.
Yeah, I think it depends more on where the leaders are.
But yeah,
that'll do it for the first Super Chat stage break. We are funded by viewers like you, and we will get back to it a little bit later on. But in the meantime, guys, the weather has been improving so much here in Tennessee, where Jarrett and I are. 2 weeks ago, it was like 70. Then a week after that, it snowed. And then a week after that, today, it's in the 70s again. I'm not complaining one bit about that. But when it gets in the 70s, sometimes thunderstorms can happen and lightning can strike.
the lightning round. I got my inner Vince Welch out there. I didn't know we were doing the Twilight Zone, but we'll do that too.
I was just trying to think of something lightning and spooky, and yeah.
Well, real quick, next week, just letting everybody know in advance, we will be on Eric's channel, March 5th.
Look how curly my hair is in that picture.
That's
It's very wavy.
That's right. I didn't realize you got it. I forgot to mention you had a haircut.
I did get my hair cut the other day. Yes, that's true. But even when my hair was longer, I feel like it didn't look as curly. It looked there's a lot of depth in that photo. Anyway, go on, Jarrett, please.
So NASCAR has joined the NFL, MLB, and NCAA
They have?
bill,
I'm sorry.
to back a bill that bans drones from being flown at outdoor stadiums and tracks per ESPN.
Damn, that Fox drone guy just got put out of a job.
So basically, like it's non.
I see. It's fan drones.
Yeah,
Yes, of course.
that
I kind of thought it was already not allowed anyways.
Yeah, I thought that was already kind of like had a ban.
Well, so like I don't know if they're doing it based on like technology that turns it off, or if they're just gonna have like a mini missile on it and like
Ooh.
shoot it down, or like maybe they tell the United States military that there's oil there and they go after it. I don't know, but one way or another, they're getting
Look,
it
military,
down.
you could have target practice at our venues.
On the other end of it, or back to the ranch here, Dover Motor Speedway has announced that infield camping tickets will be sold for the first time in the track's history. So,
they didn't have infield camping before?
no, because they have like the inside of the track is like built as a track as well, and then like the garage areas and stuff. So I think there's like minimal added camping now.
I knew it'd be
wow.
cramped, but I
wonder if we'll ever sit at Nashville Super Speedway. It's bigger, but they only have infield camping for drivers.
Oh, that's right. William Byron has sent an open invite to bring Sabrina Carpenter to a race. He did this live on TMZ. So
originally pushed by Daily Downfords.
Downfords.
I hope it happens. I mean, shoot your shot, King.
Man, NASCAR Daytona 500 runners used to go on David Letterman. Now they're going on TMZ.
I do want to ask, because NASCAR is, they're doing the payouts twice a year for the driver ambassador program, and like can get $1 million for the big ones. Like if William Byron ends up dating Sabrina Carpenter, does he get paid $1 million for it? Like he gets paid $1 million and he gets a really hot girl out of it. Like that's a win.
Plot twist. He's dating Sabrina Carpenter for the money, but not in the way she thinks.
He's bringing the money. Bowman Gray at the moment is the favorite to host the Clash next year per Adam Stern, though it's still up in the air where it'll be held. But for those who liked Bowman Gray, we
should push Bowman Gray to Brazil.
The F1 media rights deal will not be going to Fox Sports. I think they got MotoGP recently, or one of those series. Netflix is the leader, so they literally could be the Netflix series maybe later this year. So it sounds like ESPN was out on them, on top of ESPN losing MLB.
I mean, I can't lie. Like, I'm not necessarily a huge F1 fan, but I can't deny how much of a global brand it is, and to go to something as global as Netflix now, that's a smart move.
Could be, especially if they're willing to pay the increased rights fee that they're asking for. That would be, I'm sure, especially in the US, that'd be good for F1.
And then just let's finish these two off really quick. NASCAR has updated the DVP to allow drivers to have their cars repaired on pit road even after the clock expires. Rather than being forced to go to the garage, they will only have to do a pass-through stop-and-go penalty, which will probably mean they'll have less time falling behind than going to the garage. And then a really quick, just letting everybody know, we still have the NWP channel at NWP Clips, where these will all be re-uploaded. If you miss them, that's the place to go. I saw a lot of people have been liking that lately, so we do appreciate that. But that, in and of itself, that's all of the lightning round. What's next?
Up next, we have some OEM updates. Jordan Bianchi bringing us some latest news and speculation that Dodge could potentially be back in the Cup Series as early as 2027.
Kind of a follow-up to the catch fence report. Yes, Ram is looking at getting into the Truck Series as soon as next year. And yes, the earliest we could see Dodge return to the Cup Series would be 27. The original report from Catch Fence suggested 2028 was a little more realistic, but either way, it sounds very likely that a fourth OEM is joining NASCAR, at least at the Truck Series level. Cup is still TBD. I think we talked about this last week. They do still make a Dodge Charger that is gas-powered, so we could see the Charger back in Cup. It wouldn't be too far of a stretch, but that's kind of a surprising one. But the one that's been added to the rumors this week is Honda is once again at the tip of everyone's tongue. It's been about a year since our last legitimate Honda rumor surfaced. So I don't know, boys. what are we thinking?
Well, I mean, it kind of our buddy Steven Toronto had put out there like, yeah, by the way, Dodge is not the only one, but we'll just have to see. And then the Honda stuff came out. I mean, Stern had said that Honda looks to be the one the industry execs are looking at, that they're going to try and find their way into NASCAR. I mean, all of this to me, it'd be great money wise for the teams. A lot of teams are going to get a lot more funding that way across the board. And on the other end of it, like, what's crazy to me is like, I made some videos about it. I've tweeted about it. I've seen other people tweet and other stuff like that. And everyone's like, Dodge is going to be out of business in 5 years. And that might be the case. They've made some pretty bad decisions lately. But have you ever heard of maybe just some of these companies just make bad decisions constantly, and maybe adding a bunch of money to NASCAR, well, great for us, is bad for them, and they're still going to come in anyway? Like, I don't see how Adam Stern, Steven Toronto, Jordan Bianchi, all these people, Chris Knight and all these other people that are well respected and usually put out pretty good stuff, don't put their necks on the line and reputations on the line, are just suddenly going to throw all journalistic integrity out the window because we want Dodge. Like, it's a real rumor, and there's more smoke and actual fire to this than I think a lot of people are wanting to believe.
The Dodge one at this point, at least with Ram, I still think their Cup program is TBD. That's a couple of years away. But Ram returning to trucks at this rate, from what I've read, other people, right? Like, I would be shocked if it doesn't happen. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
To your point, I know Dodge, Ram, and their parent company Stellantis has made, their financial situation is ambiguous, let's say. But I think I talked about this on the show last week. I was reading a whole article about how I want to say I think it was Stellantis specifically said that they're really trying to market to America. They're trying to really push the, hey, we're American. That's why, I talked about this. There's the Jeep commercial and a Ram commercial during the Super Bowl, both owned by Stellantis. There was not a Ford, there was not a Chevy, there was not a Toyota commercial during the Super Bowl this year. So clearly there's an effort being made by this company to Americanize their brand or re-energize their American audience. And what better way to do that than to get the freaking Ram 1500 racing at Daytona once again? That's about as American as it gets. So I think it does make sense. Like, it all lines up to say, yes, Dodge, or at least Ram, is absolutely interested in coming to NASCAR.
And I don't know what you guys think of, but if I think of Dodge, the car company, even though they kind of went on into their own brand, the first thing I think of is a Dodge Ram. That's what my mind goes to. I'm a truck guy too, but I think Dodge Ram when I see Dodge. Even seeing the old Bill Elliott number 9 Dodge like paint scheme, I'd see that. I still think Dodge Ram. That's just what I go to. Even though I'm literally seeing a car, I think Dodge Ram if I just see that logo.
To your point earlier, Jarrett, more manufacturers, especially in Cup, is great for the teams, because some of these tier 2, tier 3 teams, or even a tier 1 team like I'm just spitballing, say a Trackhouse. They're not Hendrick. Hendrick is Chevrolet's top dog. A team like Trackhouse might go to a Honda or a Dodge, for example, and they might make them an offer they can't refuse. Honda might see them as a great entry point back into the sport. And now Trackhouse is getting tier 1 funding from Honda, support from Honda that they might not be getting from Chevrolet right now. So to your point, there'll be more, let's say, tier 1 funded teams in Cup if multiple manufacturers come in. A team like RFK Racing. I know Jack Roush is a Ford guy, but he's also in his 80s. And let's be honest, Brad Keselowski and the Fenway Group are handling the day-to-day over there. What if a team like RFK were to swap, or a Hayek Motorsports, or even Legacy? Shoot, I don't know if the Toyota stuff really doesn't work out. Maybe Legacy makes the plunge. Who knows?
I mean,
as much as I want to manifest a Penske return to Dodge too, because I kind of missed them being Dodge. They've won the last 3 championships as a Ford. They ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
Well, so some interesting kind of reckless speculation when it comes to the RFK front. There's that NASCAR rumors account, and they've hit on quite a couple in recent years. And I remember, seeing other accounts on the Twitter side that have hit on a lot of them that have brought this up. It was Brad Keselowski initially that was trying to court Honda in at different points.
I saw that rumor.
if Jack, for one reason or another, is not part of that team anymore, which I just can't think of anything with the Roush name not having Ford. I mean, that is a possibility, especially since the top of Ford is very crowded. I still think, though, that if anyone's a favorite to switch and try and be a tier 1 team, it's Trackhouse, probably Legacy. Someone who's stuck like Colleague would probably try and be second fiddle for any of them. And the more tier 1 teams in general you have, and I'm not talking like, they're, like Front Row's a tier 1 team that's under Penske and RFK and all these, but like actual tier 1 teams, the more teams that are like Gibbs and Hendrick, and Penske, like if you have Trackhouse and, Dodge factory team add in, and you have 5 teams that are that level, the competition at the top only gets closer and better theoretically.
Well, think about it. In the last 21 seasons, the championship has been won by Gibbs, Penske, Hendrick, or Stewart-Haas when they were top dog for a few years there, plus the 1 year of Furniture Row. Like, one in the last 20 years has been won by a non-factory team, let's say. And they obviously had a deep technical alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing. So, like, we love seeing what Trackhouse is doing, and they've gotten close to the title. We love seeing what 2311 is doing. They've gotten close. Spire's a great story. Legacy, maybe they're finally on the up and up. RFK, rebuild. But without that true tier 1 top dog support, the odds of them ever actually winning the championship, I think, are pretty low. I mean, it's not impossible. Chastain was close a couple years ago, but it's pretty low. Reddick was in the Final Four last year, but had nothing for the Penske guys. Like, it's just so hard to compete with those big 3 teams. Mm-hmm. But if there's a 4th or 5th manufacturer, suddenly you got 4 or 5 of those big teams, and it might get a little more interesting.
Speaking of one of those manufacturers, I saw something on Twitter. Just made me want to bring this up real quick. Claudia sent me this, and it's footage of all these IndyCar haulers, and I saw the Honda logo. But you know who took this video of these IndyCar haulers? It's Bob Pockers, and this is actually going to be something that Jeff Gluck pointed out. This is going to be Bob Pockers' first missed NASCAR race in almost 4 years.
That's crazy. Hardest working man in motorsports, I swear. Especially on the media side.
Outside of COVID has he missed in like this decade?
Probably not many.
Probably be a COVID time. That's the only reason he wasn't at a race.
That's don't you just love this new 7-year deal that we're stuck with Fox for?
Hope he enjoys St. Pete.
He probably
will. On that note, let's talk a little bit about the playoffs and more or less the people who are in charge of this playoff committee, according to the Holler Talk to a podcast. Someone said Holler Talk to a, and I'm like, I can't see it any other way now.
We can run through it. Jarrett, did you listen to the full podcast?
So this was about a 10-minute segment.
Yeah, because I listened through. I didn't get through the second half when I forget the guy they interviewed. I didn't get through all that, but I got through this part.
Yeah. So I'm going to be honest, because it's early on. So it's not, you can't take too much that like, it's going to change more than like there's actual real discussion and it's not just sort of BSing. I mean, let's just start with who it's led by. I mean, Ben Kennedy, Tim Clark, and Julia Landauer. And the way that they put it is that, Julia Landauer is basically the right-hand woman now for Ben Kennedy. Like, she's like sort of working arm in arm with him on a lot of this stuff. We've had Julia on the show. She's
that's right.
Yeah. Back like, I want to say
3 or 4 years ago, at least.
Yeah.
That's
3 or 4 years
time ago.
I personally am very high on Julia Landauer. Tim Clark's been very open to the community, and
he's been big on expanding the digital understanding of that audience and what they want to see.
And until he proves me wrong, I'm still going to be high on Ben Kennedy. He's made so many. When he ran the Truck Series, it was probably the best the Truck Series had been in a long time at the end of the 2010s. When he took control of a lot of the stuff with the schedule changes and massive swings, some misses, some good, were done. I mean, just look at the Chicago Street Race, look at the LA Memorial Coliseum, look at Bowman Gray, look at North Wilkesboro. Like, Ben Kennedy's been huge in a lot of that. He's huge in the NASCAR 25 push. People don't know that. He's huge on the video game side of it too. He's not much older than us.
That's
Like,
what I was trying to look up. How old is he?
I think he's like
If there's
33.
if there's any high-end executive of NASCAR that I feel would be likely to have a burner social media account just to see and interact with people, it's probably Ben, because I could see him wanting to know more about that side of it.
He is Daily Downfords.
He is NASCAR shill.
He's 33 years old. You're right, Jared.
He was Slurn. But he, again, Brian France was actually viewed relatively favorably before he took over. So Ben Kennedy, it might not end out well for fans, but until he proves me otherwise, I'm gonna be pretty positive, because the majority of the changes he's been behind have been very positive changes. So I like the people that are leading into this. Now, they did say the committee holds about 25 individuals from various places in the God bless it, my sense of humor is so messed up just from saying various places. You guys probably know what I'm talking about, right? There were multiple people from various places that are in the committee.
I don't. Sorry.
But
that was a good impression. That was a good impersonation.
It was the Oni Plays deal. So they have bigger name drivers that are current Hall of Famers, which I think we're going to learn pretty quick who these are. Owners, some older ones, so probably the big ones, Penske, Hendrick, all them, as well as 2 owner drivers.
Hi, Danny and Brad.
Exactly. We all knew that. And plus, it's become their running joke, I've noticed on this podcast, to in some way insinuate something about Denny. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, I could figure it out even before then, guys. But thanks for the, pushing it out of the park. A driver from each OEM, so probably the bigger ones in general, and broadcast partners. I would assume drivers in each OEM. I would assume probably guys like Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott.
They're gonna get
Joey
Chase
Logano.
Elliott to do something.
Oh yeah, no, it's not.
I'm sorry.
Chase Elliott.
He has. If he's not in it and it's because of his choosing, I think that he should not be like most popular driver at that point. Because if you're the most popular driver, I think it's your responsibility to be in this kind of meeting.
I don't disagree with you.
Driver, he just is.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I would be shocked if he's in this meeting.
He should be.
He was in Mexico City this week with Bell and Suarez and them eating tacos.
They didn't say when it was, but the thing is, like,
it was during Daytona, I think, is when they said the first meeting was.
Chase Elliott, when he actually lets loose, is amazing. When he let loose about the Nashville Fairgrounds need to be on the schedule, it changed my entire perception of him. I'm not even joking, because he's very private. I respect that in his personal life. This is his work life. And this is something that the most popular driver should be in. They insinuated Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in on this, which he should be. He's a huge name.
He's
in
implicated.
The media side. Like, in general.
Release the list.
But the one that they pointed out, because I told them not to lobby their cases on their podcast, which I'm like, okay, guys, I know it's Denny. I know that you're talking about Denny, which he held his lip.
Hey, Dale is there too.
Hey, Denny created the in-season tournament. I think it's wise to have him involved in the playoff discussion.
Well, the one that they pointed out, though, that's been above and beyond is Christopher Bell. He's been a leader in the discussions. He's now viewed by a lot as a leader in the garage, and due to what he was saying after Martinsville and at Phoenix during championship weekend, NASCAR, from what it sounds like, actually really respected him for it.
Yeah,
and
interesting.
Fans, if you wanted another reason, if you like him, or you want a reason, if you don't like him or are in the middle on him, to like Christopher Bell, because this is a popular idea. He's been the one that's been the biggest proponent of a rotating finale, regardless of the format. He's the one who's pushed that the most, and why NASCAR looks even more receptive to it on the driver's side. So there you go. I mean, I'm just saying, say what you will about Christopher Bell. It seems like he is one of these new age drivers, not a Denny Hamlin or a Kyle Busch or a Joey Logano, a new age driver that's come in the last 10 years that is embracing a leadership role in the garage, like this generation at this point should be.
Yeah, it's
Big-
wild. I think Bell's 30 years old, but he's only been in Cup full time for like this is his 6th year, I think. He hasn't been around that long. Like Austin Cindric's in his 4th year,
Yeah.
but he has become. I think the last 2 years he's become more outspoken. I mean, we've heard him. He's criticized the lack of horsepower. Last season, you mentioned it, Martinsville. He said that he was robbed or that he was cheated out of a championship horsepower. Like, he is not afraid to say it like he feels it. And so I think it's cool that NASCAR recognizes that and that he's embracing that role. I think that's great.
Biggest things that I want to see in terms of rotating that finale. Even years, it's an SMI track. Odd years, it's an ISC track. And also, I also think that a track can't host it. If they host it, they can't host it again for at least like 6 more years, meaning that the next rotation for them, it can't be back to that track. And if they do host it, you can only go there once a year. That's what I would like to see.
For me, my part of it, and Danny, I've heard you talk about this, and I agree with you on it. Is like I want it to be the only race at the track. And so if it's a crown jewel racetrack, if it's like people are like Darlington, like sorry, we're keeping the Southern 500, and that's not going to be the finale. So we won't do the Darlington finale. Charlotte as much as that, but I'm with you. They should open it up, I think, to SMI back and forth, and maybe on the years that SMI gets the finale, ISC could get the all-star race, or maybe can get an extra race during the season so we can keep freshening up the schedule in different ways, or maybe an open track that maybe like we have one date a year that we can rotate around and try new tracks from all over the place, whether it's overseas, whether it's in the country, whether it's an already used ISC track or SMI track or whatever that might be.
It could even be a dirt track. We've ran on dirt before now.
Because if we're stuck with ISC for the finale, we're pigeonholing it too much to just the select few tracks. Whereas maybe even if it's not every 6 years, maybe it's just every 3 or 4 years. But you can have a rotation and then add somebody else in, or the tracks can bid the way that the Super Bowl location does, things like that, so that NASCAR can probably profit off of it more. Like,
I'm sure it's what they'd like.
Well, NASCAR's cut so much of the red tape and so much of the things holding back the schedule that did in the 2000s and 2010s that got us into the rut in a lot of ways we were in, with these like 5-6 year track contracts for two races on a specific date. So like, we're excited. It's like, look at that, Poconos race 14 instead of 13 this year. Like, those were the big moves back in the day. So I am all for, doing that.
And if we did do something where we do share the finale date between the two companies, and maybe they do have to, we can't just go to Miami every 2 years and Texas in Las Vegas every 2 years between the two. If you do have to actually really move the tracks, the championship races around, it'll incentivize these companies to invest some of those TV dollars back into those facilities to make them nice. Make Nashville Super Speedway nicer to host a championship one year,
Yeah, I mean, when you go to Daytona International Speedway, I went to Daytona for 5-6 races in the span of like 4 or 5 years, and that facility is world class. I've been to US Bank Stadium. I've been to tons of football stadiums and baseball stadiums around the country, tons of racetracks. Like, Daytona is in a league of its own. The size, the scale, and the upkeep and everything with it is world class. And then you go to Nashville Super Speedway, or a lot of people have said Charlotte Motor Speedway, where there's literally freaking lights falling down into the grandstands from above. People seem to forget that. Like, SMI tracks are stuck 30 years in the past, and a lot of them need that renovation and need that kick in the ass to do it.
Yeah, great point. Great point. I would love to see him do all that.
But wait, there's more.
Oh boy.
Ben Kennedy and Tim Clark sound like, from the way that it was described, and again, take a little grain of salt because this isn't very pro NASCAR produced podcast, but they're very open with it, which I appreciate. It sounds like they're just going in like, we're open to anything, no agenda. Let's just hear what you guys got. So we have every end of the spectrum on this one. Let's start with our retired Hall of Fame driver, who they said has a deep appreciation for NASCAR history. I wonder who that is.
Oh, it's Dale Jr.
Yeah, I'm wondering who this is, who he is a proponent and has put a very well-researched presentation and data into it for why they should go back to a full season format, which he has talked about on his show multiple times as he's wanting. Do I think this will happen as somebody who agrees with him and wants this? No. Am I happy it's on the table? Hell yes, because NASCAR, I think at this point, if this is on the table, then NASCAR is actually serious about not continuing to keep going further down the road of just entertainment alone, which I'll take. I'll take any rebuilding of the damn legitimacy. I'll take.
You know what I think might happen? He might somewhat get his wish for his series. I think the Xfinity and Truck Series may try and go back, but not the Cup Series anytime soon.
If any did, I think it should be the Trucks, just because I think the Trucks is such a developmental series now, unlike the way it was in 2017, where there were still a lot of the older guys in it. Like, I'm sorry, the stuff that Carson Hocevar did with Corey Haim and that back and forth, like that.
Yeah.
I don't think they were ready for that at that point. Xfinity Series, I can see it justified. I can. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it. Xfinity Series is a top level series.
Counterpoint. Haim and Hocevar would have been ready for that playoff fight if ARCA had a playoff format. We need ARCA playoffs.
No, we're not having that discussion.
Make it happen.
Oh, can you imagine the ARCA break so that somebody can finish third and fourth behind the two like Gibbs cars?
I was gonna say it's funny because there's usually only like 5 full-time ARCA drivers, anyways.
Well, on the playoff side, because I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Jarrett's just gonna glaze the one that's the full season format." There was a good contingent too that do like the playoffs and want to change them in some ways. The biggest thing is that not necessarily that they wanted it, but that they want it more because TV would probably want it. And the format that was delved into the most early on so far has been where the first 7 races are the first round that eliminates two. They didn't say if it was a final 4, 5, 8, whatever it is, and then a 3-race finale round, which again, I'm not crazy about, but it is in my opinion, a vast improvement when you look at the sample size argument, which is something I've been very big on the last 6 months, especially with everything that's happened, is sample size, I think, needs to be improved. I'm not crazy about that, but I can understand that one and at least give it a shot. The thing that piqued my interest the most on any of the playoff chase stuff in general is NASCAR's open to possibly decreasing the field. They could keep it at 16. They could go down to 12. They could go down as low as 10 again.
This could be a hot take. I think as the years have gone on, I think I've come around to having 16 cars in the playoffs, especially because the playoffs, let's say, are still going to be 10 races. That's more than a quarter of the schedule. It's almost a third of the schedule. And I don't know. You have usually about 30. And I think this year it's like close to 36. I think you almost have 36 full-time drivers, but usually it's like 34, 35. The idea that almost half of them are still alive for the final 10 races, I'm okay with, because otherwise I just feel like if you only have 10 cars, that means you have 25 guys who are eliminated for 10 whole races. And obviously I understand the sponsorship component. More teams and their sponsors want to have the chance to make the playoffs. So I guess my point is, well, I wouldn't mind having a 10 or 12 car playoff. I think I understand from a business perspective why 16 is the number that it is, and I don't hate it. I've come around on it from that perspective.
I think it waters it down.
I don't think so. I mean, Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain, and you had good drivers miss the playoffs last year.
Yeah, because not great drivers make the playoffs. Yeah, where bad drivers made it in over them for a Daytona win rather than a full regular season's body of work.
Yeah, well, you know me. I don't want winning you're in. So you get rid of winning you're in. That's fine. Who would have missed last year? I think Bubba might have still missed. Where was Bubba? Was he 16th? 17th?
Well,
point is, you guys like Bubba Wallace would have been on the bubble, and I think Bubba had a pretty good season. I think that's good. Like
he was around 12th or so in points.
Was he that high? I thought he was like 15, 16, 17.
He was like 12th to 13th, 14th in that range for a lot of the year. But because of so many surprise and lower end winners, he ended up missing it, which to me is like, we can get that battle if we just go to 12 and we still have good ones missing it. I want good drivers. I want good drivers and teams to miss because they got beat by better drivers and teams. I don't think as much as I'd like, for me, it's full season format and then 10 top 10 or race chase or whatever. I can live with 12. I don't want half the damn field in. Half the field doesn't need to be in. Half the field is not good enough to run for a championship to me.
That's fair. But I guess I just, it's a playoff, so you have to compare it to other sports. I mean, there's going to be 16 teams that make the NBA play. Really, there's 20.
And it's watered down to hell.
Well, 20 is
there's
20
4
is
teams that actually can win.
Yes.
Really the number of playoff teams that you see, it's always interesting because it's been in every sport, like college football just went to 12 teams, and everyone's like, oh yeah, we're going there. Even talk about going to 14 now.
They're going to expand. They're going to make it a March Madness thing at some point.
Yeah, they're gonna probably put in too many when it's all said and done. But I think they're gonna go to 14 for now. And but what happened in this past playoff for college football? Well, all the away teams got their hiney smacked, including mine.
Well, and I'd say even on the pro levels too. Like if you look at playoff expansion, unless it's the NFL, which at this point is still the golden goose, one way or another it'll get killed at some point. Like the MLB did playoff expansion during the COVID season. People hated it. Ratings went down a ton. Look at the NBA right now. They are cratering in ratings right now compared to years past. Like I saw the chart of the NBA ratings over the last 15 or so years. Like you'd think it was a NASCAR chart. They're cratering worse than NASCAR is. So
that's partially true. Baseball and NBA playoff ratings continue to be solid year after year. But yes, regular season ratings for the NBA are down. But I don't think that's the fault of the expanded playoffs. My point is, yes, there's probably 10 or 12 cars every year that actually have a realistic shot of winning the championship. But I don't mind if 4 others make the playoffs because that to me is a storyline. That to me is that's baby steps. You're getting somewhere. Yeah, you're in the playoffs. You're a wild card team, whatever. You're not going to win the championship. We all kind of know. Everybody knew who was the bottom seed? Nobody thought the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to win the Super Bowl this year, but then making the playoffs,
SMU was winning the national championship, but they were.
But those were stories, and it's something you can point to and say, "Look at the progress this team has made."
Ball sport. This isn't.
But it's the playoffs. It's the playoffs. This is NASCAR adopting a stick and ball.
Saying it is what
format.
it is not an argument. That's a circular argument at that.
But I'm saying that NASCAR
that's the system argument. It's not.
No, but I'm saying that the system is based on stick and ball sports. So you're saying it's not stick and ball, but the system is based on it, which is
fundamentally flawed because it's not a stick and ball sport.
So your arguments with the system.
No, my question to you is why would you be okay with watching teams that are drivers in this case that are not going to add any substance?
Because they're on the track anyways. They're going to be on the track anyways.
Well, so are the other ones that missed it, and they this.
But making the
playoff, the championship fight. What the fuck is Harrison Burton going to do for the championship fight? What did he add last year?
I don't.
Wallace, Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain would not have.
Don't put words in my mouth. Harrison Burton winning to make his way in the playoffs. I don't agree with that. I don't like the winning you're in. But my point is, if say Bubba Wallace had pointed his way into the playoffs last year as the 15 seed, let's say, because there was no win you're in. I'm like, yeah, Bubba Wallace had no chance of winning the title last year. We all would have known that.
Harrison
but
Burton.
Making the playoffs was a show of progression. It would have been Bubba Wallace's first time making the drivers' playoffs. And that's something to hang your hat on. It's an accomplishment. NASCAR, you have 36 teams, but you have only about 10 cars every year that can realistically win the title just because of their budget. So it's like you need something for 25th place to be fighting for. Like the 25th place car is never going to be able to fight for the championship, but they could fight for 16.
It's amazing.
And that's a storyline.
For years, storylines of those outside the championship battle, whether it be a battle for 4th or 7th or 12th, were covered that way. And there were more cars generally at the end of the year that were covered through the field. Go back and watch those races. Go back and watch them pre-chase.
No one was talking about 15th place
right now, Eric.
Nobody was talking about the battle for 15th.
There were battles for getting in the top 10. There were battles for 12th or so, the 11th, because it would get different money. And those battles were covered more by the end of the season in the last 4 to 6 races than a lot of the battles are covered today. They are. They're hype. The broadcasts now are hyper fixated on 8 cars by the end of the year. Like if we're really pushing for more cars to be shown, we might as well just go back to what was showing more cars before at that, if that was the argument.
Well, I just disagree. We don't have a race from 2002 to show on screen right now, but I just
We have
disagree
the
that they
ratings
were,
data for it at the time.
but they weren't talking about, oh man, this is an important battle for 16th in points back in 2002. They weren't talking about that. Certainly not more than they would have talked about it today. So yeah, I look at the playoffs and say, all I was trying to say was that I feel like having 16 cars in the playoffs is fine. That's all I was trying to say.
And I disagree. That's what I was saying.
Fair enough.
Keep going. I'm liking it. Keep going.
Danny is having his cake and eating it too.
I'm just sitting here laughing in the chat the whole time. They're like, Mom, Dad, stop fighting.
You will like it, damn it, or I'll turn this car around. Now on the other side of it too, there's some other stuff they did talk about. Stages, that's on the table, whether they have them or not, or how they're run. Cautions, no cautions, points allowed, stuff like that. I'll be honest, other than the caution side of it, I really don't think there's a debate there. Like, we don't really have to have it. That's one thing I've come around and embraced.
That we don't need stage cautions?
We don't need stage cautions, but other than that, like, we really don't need to get rid of stages. Like,
oh yeah, no, I
award the
wholeheartedly
points.
agree.
I don't mind stage points. I just don't like stage cautions.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like, I don't mind the points aspect.
I was trying to figure out for years, why does a certain subsection of fans hate stage racing so much? I just didn't get it. I'm like, of all the things to dislike about modern NASCAR, why hate stage racing? And then I realized the vast majority of them don't actually hate the stage racing part of it. They hate the stage yellows. And that I'm like, okay, especially at the road courses and super speedways, I get that. But yeah.
I don't. I get why they're being thorough, and they should be thorough and look over everything. I just don't think that needs much more than like, okay, can we get rid of the cautions or not? Like, NASCAR's half-assed attempt at the road courses a couple of years ago, it's like, oh, the racing sucked. It's like, well, the next gen car sucks at these tracks.
Yeah.
Like, of course the racing wasn't going to be good. And then they put two goals out there. One, they want a deserving champion, and two, they want to maintain or elevate engagement. Let's the deserving champion side of it. I mean, can we just say at this point, whatever they do, let's just call it the Joey Logano rule, the way the Chase was the Matt Kenseth rule. Like,
I guess it would be
the way the updated playoff elimination has kind of been nicknamed the Jimmy Johnson rule. Like, Joey Logano is the driver we can all point to that has sparked this off, and though they can, their actions speak differently than their words. Listen, Joey Logano won under the system that was presented. He is the champion. But NASCAR keeps saying we want to crown a deserving champion after that happened. Then we're like, but he is still deserving. And it's like, your actions are like saying that deep down you think otherwise, which, like, if I'm Joey Logano, like, it doesn't bother me because I won 3 championships, who cares? But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, F you too.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward. I see what you're saying. They are sort of, there's like a subtle admission of guilt. Yeah, there's a subtle admission that the current format is, I think it's more I think NASCAR feels that Joey Logano is a 100% deserving champion, but they're acknowledging that clearly there is a vocal section of the fan base that don't feel that way. And so I think NASCAR, that's the way they would defend it, is by saying, hey, we think he's legit, but clearly there's, X number of fans on Twitter that don't feel that way.
I think it's just,
how can we bridge that gap?
It's just more the fact that forever you're going to, like, Joey Logano was in the same conversation as Kel Yarbrough, Darrell Waltrip, Tony Stewart, all 3-time champions. He could still win more than that. He could get up third in that. But will they ever have the same weight as those others that I mentioned?
I mean, the Lee Petty's 3 championships to me don't mean as much as Tony Stewart's 3 championships. And I don't think Joey Logano's 3 championships mean as much as Tony Stewart's 3 like, they already don't mean the same thing, but I think the constant editing of the format has only exacerbated or furthered that gap in that conversation more so. And it's just made it all the more convoluted and muddier. And so I think if they can try to clean that up to some degree by creating a format with a larger sample size towards the end of the season, that'd be good, but you're never gonna, they're gonna change the format, and then the next person to win 3 titles under this format is gonna be in a different category than Logano, than Stewart, than Yarbrough, than Petty,
and then they're changing.
It's just gonna keep going, and then they'll change it again. So it's it's the same way. You can't compare Oscar Robertson and Shaq. You just can't. Like, they're completely different eras, different style of play. It's the same debate, and it's tiring because it's not a 1-for-1 argument, but it just kind of is. It's the box we're in now.
And I'll say this as an aside about NASCAR with the domination side of it is, like, why aren't we embracing when somebody's good? Like, if someone's really great, I want to see them crowned. Like, when we were talking about the playoff stuff last year, I had brought up that under the Chase era, the worst champion statistically of the whole season was Kurt Busch in 2004. That usually it was the top 2 or 3 guys winning the championship. So they were still putting together amazing seasons. Like, yeah, Jimmy Johnson might have had the second best season in 2007. He won 10 freaking races. He had almost 30 top 10s. He was just amazing. And now the NASCAR got so scared of domination that they changed stuff left and right all over the place. And the big word is parity. And parity is great. And that's why I think we should have a larger sample size, because I think the next gen has evened the playing field out so much. And if you add these new OEMs who might theoretically have more tier 1 teams, it's only going to elevate more based off of that. Let's have the larger sample size. If somebody, if we have a 10 race chase, if we have 7 races and then 3 races, or if we have a full season points format and somebody still wins like 4 championships, it's just like Christopher Bell goes out and wins 4 championships. Let's celebrate Christopher Bell at that point, especially with the larger sample size.
And Jarrett, you know what's coming to my mind instantly when you say you want to see the best driver crowned?
Mm-hmm.
When was the season where we felt like there was only 3 guys who were elite and everyone else was just there? 2018. Who was your champion?
Joey Logano.
Was he one of the big 3?
No. And I'll ask this too, kind of, later on. Since we did this show, which championship to you guys, I think, would you say holds the most weight? Like, for the whole season leading up to it? To me, it's Kyle Larson.
Larson had the best overall season of any champion in recent years. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was
Kyle Larson, best. And then before that was Truex. Yeah.
Yeah. Truex.
Chase Elliott Elliott's 2020 was almost as good. It wasn't as good as Harvick's, I guess, but
Harvick was insane that year.
Elliott was probably 2nd or 3rd that year, but behind Harvick, Hamlin.
And then I'd say Kyle Busch in 2019.
Yeah, Kyle Busch was
pretty damn good.
Yeah, he'd probably be next year, right?
But since then, we really haven't got that. I mean, a lot of people didn't want to admit it in 23, but like Ryan Blaney did not have a great season by any means. It was
Ryan Blaney got at the right time.
He had a great 6 weeks. Yeah, he was good all year. Great 6 weeks, and it was like, all right, okay.
Yeah. And so it's like you look at that trend since the Kyle Larson one. I think that probably is what exacerbated it a ton too. You have a popular driver in Kyle Larson winning the way he did, which he even had to kind of get a little luck to do that as well in the pits.
It was a close call.
You had then Joey Logano winning, which wasn't very popular. He wasn't all that great. Then you had Ryan Blaney, who wasn't even as good as really Logano, I think, was the year before. Maybe he was a little better.
They were comparable, I think. Yeah. I think you had Penske win 3 in a row, and at least the last 2 were kind of questionable. And I think that's where you have people coming in saying we need to rotate the final race at the very least, because it's just clear Team Penske is cracked the code.
That's the thing. It wasn't dominance. Penske won 3 in a row, but it wasn't because they were dominant. It's because they were really good at super speedways and flat short tracks like Phoenix. They cracked the code. Good on them. Yeah. And I continuously say, people are like, oh, you hate Penske, you hate Joey Logano. No, I don't. They did what they had to do. They cracked the code and beat all these other teams, at the places NASCAR made matter most. But we can still change it. And so the other part of it, which I don't know how you elevate engagement in any point with the championship format, but maintain or elevate engagement. To me, I think you're going to maintain it no matter what system you go with, because NASCAR fans are a diehard bunch, and we're going to talk about it no matter what. Like, I don't know how you elevate it. We've seen changes made. We've seen elimination changes. We've seen 10-race chase. We've seen all these different playoff formats in 20 years. And has any of it actually engaged, made engagement higher or raised up viewership?
I would argue what a new format could do that would boost late season engagement would be to have enough build up. So, you have the championship 4 now, but you only have a week to build that up. You don't know who the championship 4 even are going to be until a week before the championship. So you have 7 days. The Super Bowl has 2 weeks of build up for 2 teams. Here you have 4 teams and only 7 days to build up that storyline. No on-track action to build up that storyline. It's just, boom, here's your 4. Here's how they got here. Now let's see what happens Sunday. But if you have, like, one of the proposals was 7 races and then you break it down to the final 4, final 5, whatever it is for 3, at least you have 3 weeks to kind of ramp things up. Say week 1, 2 of the championship contenders have a little run in, like Chastain and Elliott had in the championship a couple of years ago. Remember when on a restart, Elliott got spun and it was like, oh, is this Ross being Ross? Was that Elliott's fault? There was some intrigue, some drama there. Imagine that happens in that first race. And now you have that storyline leading into the second race. And then what if something happens there? And now you go to the finale and you've had a couple weeks of build up back and forth. Like I could see that. Like that's a benefit of having a larger sample size for that final round, is it actually allows your championship contenders to really go at it for 2 or 3 weeks straight. Because when you have 8 or 12, like, yeah, you'll have storylines, you'll have rivalries build, but when you're down to that 4, it's more intimate. And if you have those 4 go at it week after week, you have the opportunity potentially to build up. It's not going to have it's not going to hit quite the same way a Verstappen Hamilton title fight hit, but it could get closer to that. That would maybe be my theory that a larger sample size would accomplish.
Well, on that note, speaking of build up to championships, if you hate this current championship format, and guys we keep seeing winning this championship, you can prove them wrong yourself. NASCAR 25 and the new career mode that we've been seeing all about this week.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's some big updates. I mean, you can move up the 4 series. I like that. I mean, it's kind of like fight to the top mode. You guys remember back in like the EA games when you'd start in the modifieds and you'd be like,
NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup, greatest game ever made. Can't change my mind any other way.
I mean, I'm on 04, but it's the thing, guys. I didn't play 05 as much as a kid as I did 04. 06 a step down from 05 for sure, but still pretty fun. But for me with the gaming side, I want a grind aspect. I want something that like I know I can get better. And it seems like, I mean, you can control funds from the looks of it, sponsor obligations, social media, charity work, stuff like that to kind of enhance your I don't know, public aura or whatever the hell you want to call it, persona.
Notoriety.
Yeah. So it's like, I like what I'm hearing. To me, all of this is great. It falls apart if we don't have good physics.
Bingo. Physics. I want to know that I can have fun in the race. All we've seen is screenshots. Screenshots are great, but am I going to have fun playing a racing game? I need to know that.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I need to know.
It needs to not necessarily have the exact physics of iRacing, but it needs to be fairly realistic like iRacing is, but it needs to be accessible the way your traditional console game is. Like you need to bridge that gap, and that's a difficult gap to bridge. Most importantly, it needs to be functional. That's where the most recent console title fell flat, was it wasn't even functional. But
I don't want a blue screen just trying to hit race now.
It's just fun. Like that's the role for a NASCAR console game, is you want to be realistic, like we've all talked about. It's how we learned a lot of the drivers, the cars, the tracks when we were kids, was playing the NASCAR game. So it needs to be realistic, but it needs to be accessible, approachable enough for the casual fan to pick up, play, improve. Like it needs to somehow appeal to casuals and diehard gamer types alike. And that's not an easy bridge to gap, like I said, but I think if anyone is capable of doing that, it's the people at iRacing. So I'm very cautiously optimistic. I like the idea of a functional, fully fleshed out career mode. I never played career mode a ton when I was a kid on the various console games that offer it. I don't even remember the form. Maybe they just didn't offer good career modes, and so that's why I didn't play them. I don't remember. But it would be cool to give it a try in the was about to say in the 21st century. It's all the 21st century. It'd be cool to give it a try in the 2020s, I guess. The
modern
current
era.
gen of gaming. Yes. And see
it
how it
is-
compares.
It's crazy though to see where we are at in terms of how long it's actually been since there was a console racing game that was released. NASCAR 21 Ignition based off the 2021 season. Now we have NASCAR 25. So that's say 2, 3, 4, so 3 years that went by without representation of a new game. I'm not counting a DLC to come out for NASCAR 21. I'm not counting that. Didn't they also release one for NASCAR Heat 5 just because 21 Ignition wasn't working well, basically?
Something on the Switch, right?
Yeah.
I'm
No,
so I'm
there
laughing.
was that. There was that. But anyway, I'm okay. Counting traditionally all the consoles, 3 years without it.
At least,
that's much longer than the last big hiatus we saw from NASCAR 09, which was actually the 08 season. There wasn't a game released again until the 2011 season. Well, so that was 2 years without a game. This is actually a much longer period. You had when I'm hopeful. My hope is, I think the folks at iRacing, they got the license, I think maybe 2 years ago. So they've had 2 years that they've been working on this now at this point. And I'm hopeful that when pretty much writing was on the wall that it wasn't going to work out the folks who made NASCAR 21 Ignition, I'm hopeful they actually got started earlier than we know on some of the behind the scenes stuff on this game.
Yeah.
I guess it could be the 20 years iRacing has been around and they've been working on NASCAR physics and tracks.
But
I mean, they give
one
them a
to go
strong
from
baseline.
PC simulation to a console video game. It's still a whole other package.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I wanted to point out, Andrew in the chat said, I hope you can choose to modify or counterfeit next-gen parts for performance advantage and risk failing post-race tech.
Well,
that's really funny.
It's funny. And one of the things that they also, for a lot of people, because a lot of people keep asking, is it going to be on PC? Yeah. Like they confirmed.
I think that got announced recently though, right? Like that wasn't
Yeah.
confirmed until recently.
Yes, it's called iRacing. Thank you.
Oh, damn.
But another part of the career mode thing that's really cool is you can have the option, if you don't want to be the owner, of just being a driver. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like if I can do one where maybe I just want to go online and, with on a stream and just race a couple of them and whatever, or maybe like I want to be really in depth and keep track of all of my, financials and all of that and go from there. I like that there's the versatility. That's like the word of the day, or the word of the super speedway weeks we've had. Now we don't have speed weeks anymore. We have super speedway weeks, where versatility for me, that's what I would want. I want online to work. I want the physics to work. To me, until we see gameplay, actual gameplay, not just like, a couple things here and there, like actual gameplay, I'm going to reserve.
I don't know if he's still watching. He was in the chat earlier, but honestly, Jeff Fabiano is the only review I truly trust. No offense to others on this platform, but I think he is probably going to give me the most non-biased answer of how this game actually is.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think IGN is going to review NASCAR 25?
I mean,
probably someone will.
Yeah. I mean, at the worst, we'll get a 7 out of 10 if it's IGN.
They'll say, hey, didn't like the Chicago street race, too much water. 6 out of 10.
And I am curious if they'll have any legacy tracks like the clash at the LA Memorial Coliseum. I'm curious if that'll end up being in there as like just a raceable track, but not in the season mode.
Just saying, there's a certain track in Joliet that I would love to have on there.
Okay, not that legacy track. I don't think we're getting that.
We're not digging up the grave.
Might be on the 26th.
But a Road America, maybe, perhaps. Well, actually, no, that's got to be in there, right? Wait, no. Yes,
No.
I don't know.
No. But we'll see. I mean, I'm optimistic, but I'm not gonna get my stamp of approval until like I see that it's it's good enough to build on.
We're not going to endorse the game until I played it. You know what I mean? Like I'd have to play it and actually for ourselves. But everything we've seen so far, at least from my perspective, is encouraging. But
are we going to have Are we gonna have every single track that I guess ARCA goes to as well?
They haven't confirmed that yet. That's a question I do have. Like, what tracks are going to be on this game?
Because like I don't want to be in career mode and say the truck series are racing at Levi Strauss Signature Speedway this week.
iRacing Super Speedway.
Like, I'm curious, what tracks are we going to see? I guess we're going to have Rockingham. It's got to be in there.
You'd think. I mean, it should be Lime Rock. I would think that would be. I can't say too much more until I think the next Dev Diary will probably dive into physics and stuff like that. But are we at the fun segments yet?
We should be.
So.
That was probably a more fun headline to end on to get to the fun segment.
Yeah, so I think we're at predictions now, right?
We are.
All right, let's pop them on screen. So the prediction segment, we'll each make 2 NASCAR Motorsports show-related predictions. We'll keep track of them each week in our accountability sessions, and we'll just try and keep them relatively concise and within a few years. I had nothing come off the board. Yay. Eric had one thing come off the board. He said all 3 Atlanta races would end under green.
I was 1. Well, no, technically I was 2 for 3 because if they'd only been consistent, damn it.
We wish you were right.
Shit.
And then Danny, his layups worked. He said the lead would change 40 times or more in the Cup race, and they did, and no one would flip all weekend.
Honestly, it worried me about that lead change thing for a little bit because they were kind of taking their sweet time with that for a while.
They were just chilling.
Well played.
But good job. So means I have still 46.15% on the year. Eric at 35.71. Danny in the 20s, 23.53.
I needed that. I needed that so bad.
No more layups.
Into the double digits finally.
All time, I'm still up at 42.86. Eric at 32.23, and Danny at 29.92, almost back up into the 30s.
I got some good ones this week. I'm excited.
I'm playing a smart strategy here now, guys.
All right, so I'll lead us off here, and I'm gonna go with this one. I think SVG wins multiple races this year.
Okay.
I'll go on the road course.
And on a similar note, it's kind of a wild prediction. I think a different driver will win every regular season road course race, Cup race, I should say. So all 5 will have a different winner. So it kind of goes against your prediction a little bit there, Jarrett, potentially. But yeah, I think there's 2. I was looking at who's the favorite to win Kota and such, and I'm like, man, I know everyone likes SVG. But there's a lot of good road course racers. I just have a feeling we're going to get no repeats.
We'll keep it in the SVG spectrum here. SVG will lead the most laps on Sunday.
Definitely can see that. I'm going to do one that's going to be real fun. I could get proven wrong this weekend or be completely right. Call League at both Xfinity and Cup will not win a race this year.
That's kind of bold. Not even Christian Eckes?
No.
You don't think AJ Allmendinger going to sneak a road course?
Not with competition at this point. Not really. I mean, maybe the Roval, but I think that his competition's better than him at this point. Their Xfinity program, to me, the driver lineup is just weak. I don't see any of them winning. Now, AJ is the only one that I could see winning.
Before you lock in that, Jarrett, let me remind you.
Ty Dillon
races for him.
Good point. But somebody else told me he wouldn't get a top 10 this year.
Oh, shoot.
Who was that?
All right, my turn. He's not covering the NASCAR race. He's out in St. Petersburg this weekend. I predict Bob Pockris will make a tweet, even a sarcastic one, about the lights at St. Petersburg.
I
like that one.
Damn, I should have thought of that.
I like that one. I'm taking my second prediction over to the Xfinity Series. Jesse Love will win at least 3 races by the end of the regular season. He already has 1.
That's fair.
Nice. These are some good predictions this week, I think. Good mix. All realistic, but not layups.
Yeah, I think we're doing good.
Yep.
Which I think that means we go to our next fun segment.
Did we hit 300 likes? Not that it matters, but like, you know,
We
just
are at
curious.
300
We
exactly.
just
Actually,
did.
What? No way. What time?
I looked
Dang.
up and it says 300 right now.
300
you-
for episode 300. That's beautiful.
Well, you know what time it is. It is time for random driver
By
of the
chat.
week. Yes. Danny and Eric must hide the chat, must hide you guys, and it is time.
Oh yeah. Turn
So-
the chat off. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I ain't starting until you guys are ready. So I will go through our last 5. We have Danny winning 3 of the last 5. It's been a back and forth battle. Danny has Joey Logano, Johnny Beauchamp, and Mike Harmon. Eric has Timothy Peters and Alton Sawyer. So
Okay,
are you
all right.
ready?
Locked in.
All right,
Mhm.
let's go. This random driver was born in 1967.
Hello, old man.
Okay.
This random driver focused on staying in shape to perform better while racing.
Hello, buff old man.
Most of that's good. Taking his job seriously. Or hers.
This random driver is a Michigan native.
Okay.
Eric's getting non-flashbacks to the last Michigan driver.
Was it Hocevar last time?
I don't even remember who it was. This random driver married a model.
Wow, they're winning.
Well, staying in shape, you know.
This random driver is a 3rd generation driver. So runs in the family. This random driver was the 1991 ASA Rookie of the Year.
91.
91.
Damn, who's from Michigan? I can only think of like 2 old drivers from Michigan, and I don't think it's either of them.
This random driver won the 1989 Winston National Short Track Championship at the Rockford Speedway,
Oh my god.
which I have 2 pieces of in this room right now.
That's beautiful and also unfortunately kind of sad at the same time.
Yeah. This random driver made 1 Cup start at Dover, finishing 23rd. Which, by the way, I should remind you guys, I do have sounders if you guys are correct or wrong. So
Oh, you have sound effect. Oh, now I want to just throw a guess. Now I want to like just throw a guess out there. The first name that popped in my head earlier, we might have done this guy already. Johnny Benson. Damn it. Get me in suspense. Okay.
wrong.
All right, good. We just wanted to get that out of the way.
He definitely had more than 1 cup start. Why did you do that?
Oh, shoot. I didn't even listen to the last clue.
This random driver DNQ'd all 4 other Cup attempts.
Oh, man.
And by the way, you guys will know when the right one comes up. This random driver also never won an ARCA race. So
Hey, I can relate.
That definitely takes away one of the guesses I was thinking.
this random driver was a driver's coach for Casey Kane, Ricky Hendrick, and JD Gibbs.
Oh.
Any guesses?
Nope.
This random driver also was a former guest of the Scene Vault podcast. Good
Had a lot
friends
of
of
people.
ours.
They have had a lot of guests.
Good friends of ours. This random driver is in the Michigan Motorsports Hall of Fame.
They're pretty solid somehow.
You guys might need to get your pens and papers out.
I've been ready.
All right, I'm ready.
This random driver raced in these numbers: 07, 00, 11, 12, 24, 31, 33, 36, 40, 54, 55, 65, 66,
Oh,
83,
oh my God.
87, 91, and 99.
Oh.
This random driver also raced Pontiacs, Dodges, Fords, and Chevrolets during their career.
Not a Toyota.
not a Toyota. This random driver had been sponsored by the likes of Mac Tools, McDonald's, KFC, Myers, Kleenex, Stanley Tools, and Supercuts. Anyone?
I assume has the chat gotten it?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Bottom
Of
left.
course.
Of course.
Oh, not everyone. Okay. All right.
All right. This random driver made one truck series start for Jack Roush,
Oh,
the 99 truck.
So
that's
one
what I
cup,
wondered. Okay.
one cup start, one truck start in the
For Jack
90 in the 99.
Mm-hmm. This random driver raced 2.5 years in the Xfinity series for Terry Bradshaw.
So
I don't
majority Xfinity series is what we're saying here.
So they're an
This-
ASA champion in the 90s.
1991 ASA Rookie of the Year.
Oh, rookie of the year. Okay.
This
They're born in
random driver.
1967.
This random driver made 333 career Xfinity series starts.
I don't know if this is right, but I'm going to guess Buckshot Jones.
Well, Danny, this is your answer. I love I can use that now. We're in the last 8 clues.
I'm kind of, I feel like this is definitely somebody we know, but I'm not. I don't have a trail yet.
This random driver has 4 Xfinity series wins.
Okay.
I adjust this. I've noticed all show I keep going out of screen when I lean this way. The 4 Xfinity series wins were at South Boston, New Hampshire, and twice at Nazareth.
Oh, gosh.
Oof,
I don't know much about the
jeez.
history about Nazareth.
Yeah, me either.
This random driver finished 7th in Xfinity points twice.
This might be one where Jarrett gets us, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like the last like 2 clues are going to be what gives it away.
This random driver's last NASCAR race was the 2006 Las Vegas truck race.
2006 Las Vegas truck race, which would have been in the 99.
This random driver spotted for Kerry Earnhardt and Bill Elliott.
Oh, so they're a spotter. Oh, I don't know if they still are.
Also spotted for Kevin Harvick.
Tim Fedewa.
Oh, it's what the
Correct.
what the Taco Bell sound? What was that?
Danny,
Once we got
2 in
into
a row.
spotting and I saw the 12, I remember him in that 12 Supercuts.
Oh,
I do remember that.
The
good
there were,
job.
I think 2 clues left, and it was still current Cup spotter for Ryan Blaney.
Oh, shoot, yeah. No, the Harvick spotter. Yeah, that gave it away. Good job, Danny.
I had figured out before that one, but yeah, that one definitely would have gave it.
So Danny, I think, has taken the lead, 17-16.
Yep.
Oh man, tough.
Good job, Danny.
Gotta
All
remember,
right.
I'm still NASCAR drivers. You forgot about guy. I'm doing good in something.
Well, maybe you'll do good in picks this week. Should we move on to Kota?
Yes, let's indeed move on to Kota. Some notes to remember this weekend. We are now using the shorter version of Circuit of the Americas. No longer the hatchet shape. It's more of a condensed version, 2.3 miles.
It's no longer this version behind me. Wait, I hit the wrong button.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, it's no longer that
Hold on,
version.
let's
You
see.
need to get you some aluminum and get the welding over there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like rip that out a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, you can actually still see it on this end too.
Oh yeah, I guess you
That's
can.
the best,
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
right
best
there.
part.
Connor Zilish will be in the Cup Series race this weekend, making his first ever Cup Series start, with Red Bull sponsoring his number 87 for Trackhouse Racing this weekend. And speaking of Trackhouse, Ross Chastain will be in the Xfinity Series race, driving Junior Motorsports number 9. It's actually a one of maybe 5 starts. I think he's doing for them.
Something like that. I think
So,
isn't SVG doing a couple at some point?
I think
probably.
he is. I don't remember the exact numbers.
But he's not in this weekend's race. I did see Carson Hocevar will be in the 14,
Yes.
and maybe a couple of other guys. Riley Herbst, I know, will be in the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing this weekend.
Will he be?
Oh, yeah, he's in the 17. So we're going to have a few Cup guys in it this weekend. And the Cup Series race this weekend, as it has been for the last few years, is the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix. It's a 95-lap race, 20 laps in Stage 1, 25 in Stage 2, and 50 laps in Stage 3. The start time for this race is scheduled for 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch this race on Fox and the Fox Sports app, and radio coverage will be on the Performance Racing Network and SiriusXM. The purse for this weekend is $11,055,250 as far as weather goes. It's a road course. It really doesn't matter too much, but 80 degrees, partly cloudy, and a 15% chance of rain. The defending winner of this race was William Byron. And the Xfinity Series is the Focused Health 250. It's a 65-lap race, 20 laps in Stage 1, 20 laps in Stage 2, and 25 laps in Stage number 3. Start time for that one, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, with TV coverage on the CW, radio coverage on the Performance Racing Network, and SiriusXM. Purse for this weekend's Xfinity Series race is $1,651 and $1,651,939. And weather for Saturday, high of 84, mostly sunny, 5% chance of rain. The defending winner of this race is not racing, Kyle Larson.
And the picks points. Let's pop them up.
We're under a blanket.
Woo! I'm leading. Let's go.
I am Basement Boy, but it doesn't feel like I'm Basement Boy.
Yeah, you get first pick this week. Ooh,
On a
that's
technicality,
valuable.
Chat gets second.
Wait, so
Yes.
what is the tiebreaker there?
The chat has 2 total wins, 1 in Xfinity, 1 in trucks. Danny doesn't have any yet. And so, like, if we had tied Eric, I would have got it because I got 1 Xfinity win and you haven't gotten any yet. So,
Damn.
So the
That
chat
changes
getting
this
2
week.
wins this past weekend is actually their downfall this week.
It really was.
yes.
Joke's on you,
So,
chat.
let's get on into it. Danny, what we got first?
We have the Xfinity Series race where I say that we will see. Wait till this graphic goes away. That's going up right now.
Yeah, we still have graphics, Danny.
We have the Xfinity Series race where I say Connor Zilish will win.
Fair enough.
Even if all the Cup Series guys in there, I say he'll still win.
That's pretty bold. All right, chat. Who you guys taking? I see Ryan Sieg. I think you should give him Ryan Sieg.
They wanted 88, but it's gone already.
Tough.
I don't even get why they bother putting it in there when it's like the obvious picks are there. Like I don't get it.
Someone said SVG Xfinity. In what car?
Pace car. I don't know.
It looks like they're between Chastain and
I'm
Byron.
going to have to poll them because it's too split, in my opinion.
It's all good.
It's between Chastain and Byron. And spoiler alert,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to pick whoever they don't.
All
Ooh, but you're not going to who.
right. Well, then I know who my pick will be. I'm not going to say it yet, just in case. I don't want to take it off the board.
I'm going to give them to the count of 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do it in my head.
Well,
It's pretty close.
it's close enough, but it's looking like it's going towards the
You can end it.
17.
15,
Yeah.
16, 17, 18,
Danny, it's
19,
over.
20.
It's over, but he's still kicking.
All right, they got
They're going
Byron.
with Willie B. They don't. They 2500 one.
I guess that means I'll take Chastain. I was really hoping they'd
I
pick
guess
Chastain.
I'll take Chastain.
I feel good about it. He's
Fine.
in a good car. I'll take Ross. I think Ross is a good pick. I'm good with that.
Well, that leaves one last one on my big board here. I'm going to go with the guy who was competing for the win last year and could have actually won this race. I'm going to go Austin Hill.
Thought of that one for a second. but
Underrated road course racer.
Yeah, I thought about
Big
that
bully.
Big bully.
one. If I needed to have more options, he would have definitely been on my list.
All right. What do we got now? We're going to the cup race now, all right?
Yeah, we don't got no trucks this weekend, so Cup suck. And been singing his praises and wishing him well these first 2 weeks, but Kyle Busch is my Cup suck.
Chat, how about you guys?
We can probably give ours while we wait for the chat.
Yeah, I was gonna say Keselowski.
Yep, I'm in the same boat. Brad
Oh.
Keselowski will suck in this race.
Lost this race.
They're just playing it safe and saying Ty Dillon.
Fair enough.
They're just gonna do that all year, and then Ty Dillon's gonna win.
Yeah.
And if that happens, if Ty Dillon ever wins a race where they picked him to suck, that should be negative 50 points.
Or
Seriously.
-10 for his number.
Sure, that's fine. It should be negative points. That's all I'm saying.
Negates a sweep.
I honestly feel that in general. If I know we don't always keep track of it, but if your suck pick wins the race, it should be like negative points.
All right. Well, what
Ideas
about
for next year.
What about dark horses?
Yeah. My dark horse come close to winning this race in the past, and he's usually done pretty good. So I'm gonna go Alex Bowman.
I was gonna say Ty Gibbs.
I want to check something real quick because I'm gonna go Carson Hocevar because I think he's pretty good. But let me check
Third
the
at Watkins Glen
numbers.
last year, right?
Yeah.
And chat saying Connor Zilish. That's pretty solid too for an underdog.
I don't know. Vegas has him as the second best favorite.
I gotta see.
I don't
on
see him
the-
winning his Cup Series debut, but
Apparently, people with money are saying he's gonna win.
they're
Danny,
about to give that money to
How
Vegas.
how is Alex Bowman an underdog? His average finish is 4th at Kota.
Well, he hasn't won.
This is his best track.
He's finished top 10 in every start. He's never
Yeah.
started. He's
He's
his
an
average
underdog.
finish-
He's an underdog to win, but he hasn't won. He's not.
his
He's not been
average
good enough to
start
win.
is 10th. Like
I'm not picking him to win, but he's an underdog for it.
fair enough. Fair enough.
It's borderline. It's borderline.
Well, we do have this at least coming up. Who's gonna win, Danny?
People would say Kyle Larson's an underdog at a super speedway. So
He's still going.
But he sucks at super speedways. Alex Bowman does not suck here. Or at road courses like Chicago.
until
where
he
won
wins,
last year.
he's just an underdog. So,
All right.
anyways, Cup SVJ. That's my win.
So Danny is going straight up with all of the 88 drivers. What's up,
I'm
Gator?
going for an 88 sweep this weekend. What can I say? I'm a Dale Jr. fan again from 2009.
Chad already burned their Zilich pick, so they can't pick Zilich. Not saying they're going to, but they can if they wanted to.
I'd laugh if I sold them on picking the 48.
So I'm seeing a lot of back and forth between 5, 24, and 45. So I think we're gonna have to poll them again.
You should poll if Alex Bowman is a underdog pick.
He is.
You should poll it.
No, he is. There's no poll.
I love democracy.
I hate it.
Danny be fascist.
My
hates
channel, my rule.
democracy.
So we have 5, 24, and 45. That's who we're polling.
I think I know who's going to win the poll, but I'll wait a few seconds to see.
Yeah, I think I know who's going to win too, but we'll wait. All right. That's about how I thought it would
Yeah,
go.
that's about what I was expecting.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now let me
Yep,
let me
that's
assess
good
my
enough for me.
board. Let me assess my board. Oh man, I got it. I got
Reddick is their pick, by the way, for the audio side.
a tough decision to make here because I think I have to pick one of the guys who finished 1-2 here last year. Do I pick the guy who won, or do I pick the guy who was coming, who was going to catch him if there was a little bit more a lap or two left?
Eric's ended up on an Instagram account with that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
know.
hope
I knew
so.
why Jared was laughing.
My feelings are a little hurt that we haven't ended up on that account yet.
I have.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I put on
Okay.
their story for one of my streams. I was proud.
I need that. I need that validation in my life. I think
That clip alone could end up on there.
give me Christopher Bell.
Shit.
Oh, hope I don't regret this.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with Kyle Larson.
Probably didn't pick Bowman after telling me he's not an underdog.
I can't believe nobody picked Byron. I'm a little shocked by that.
I mean, again, I think the front of the field is as good as it's ever been at road courses.
See my earlier prediction that we're going to have 5 different winners at the 5 road course races in the regular season.
I didn't say it was that. No, I'm kidding.
No.
No, I like how I'm picking SVG, and I said he wasn't going to make the playoffs.
Wah, wah.
Hey,
He's going for the points. He's going for the points, man.
There is going to be so many winners that he won't make it.
Oh man, well, that's gonna be fun.
They're going to get tired of winning.
So tired. All right. Well,
Good stuff. Kota's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think we got one more thing.
Yep, it's just time for the rest of the super chats, and then we can end off a historic cookie-filled
Delicious.
300. He's just begging.
Liv Moss.
I'm just gonna keep adding sound effects as we go. We got 3 sound effects now,
But they all have to be fast food related.
Bryce, I appreciate the $4.99 from you. He said the only thing I'm annoyed about is finding out on X that they would throw the caution no matter what. Drivers got to be better. However,
Yeah, they didn't. The inconsistency is the big problem. But they announced in the drivers' meeting, yeah, we're going to call the caution if something happens. But nobody goes to the drivers' meeting, and so then it's just who saw it on Twitter. Not many.
Yeah.
So it's just bad communication.
And really, honestly, Eric, if it wasn't for your tweet, you were the only person I saw actually mention that. So.
Oh yeah, because I was mad. I was like, Jesus, like I could see. I was like, so you're just going to tweet about it? That's it? You've been inconsistent for the first 2 weeks, and your solution is let's just mention it at the drivers' meeting and hope Jordan Bianchi tweets about it. It's like, oh God, I could just see it. That I'm like, this is going to confuse and frustrate so many people, and sure enough, it did. I was like, yeah, frustrating.
Will Griffin, appreciate $2. Assuming this is talking about the caution or no caution at Atlanta. He said, don't like Denny, but he said it was the right call. Gary Buki, appreciate the $5 from you. Yeah, what's the deal with this apologizing to Mr. H and Chevy? Like, oh no, a Spire Chevy car is trying to win for Spire? The horror.
True.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're trying to win too.
That is pretty scary though.
There's 40 cars in the field. They should all try to win. Rowdy8 Diecast, appreciate the $4.99. Happy 300. Going to Texas for the first time for Kota weekend. Any good Texas barbecue recommendations? I don't have any. I went to Kota last year, but we literally flew in and flew out in one day. It's close enough to the Austin airport. You can do that. But Eric, you know anything?
Barbecue places. I know like Terry Black's is kind of famous, but I don't actually know if I've had that. I went to the county line for barbecue a couple times when I was living there. I'm not a huge barbecue guy. I mean, Texas has great barbecue, but like you have to really be in the mood to sit down and just eat all that juicy brisket. Come on, I really want to be on Instagram.
You could have said another word.
He just wants those juices flowing all out of his mouth.
You got to just stuff your face with all that Texas-sized meat, but you can't really go wrong. There's a few good ones out there. A lot of good food in Texas and in Austin. So I mean, go for it.
One thing that Texans know of is sticking meat in their mouths.
Oh, we do it better than anyone.
Look, people from Texas like meat, okay?
We do.
Big meat.
No, yeah.
Andrew and
everything's bigger.
The $5. Sal took control of a 99 car this weekend, resulting in a downturn of performance, which makes him this week's big loser. I like sticking to that persona.
What's he losing? His ride?
His team owner. BGWX Chasing. Appreciate the $4.99. Good vibes for episode 300 only. I scored an autographed Dale Jr. Rookie Year diecast for $80 this week. Worth driving 4 hours round trip. I'm pumped. Congratulations. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad you got that part of your collection now.
That's a cool find. Jarrett, you didn't yell Kobe when you shot that.
And it crashed and burned.
Oh.
Jarrett.
We're not getting on Instagram now, y'all.
We might.
We're getting on Twitter.
We're gonna end up on Reddit.
Good find. Who left that comment, Danny?
That was BGWX Chasing.
BGWX Chasing. That's a cool find. There's no better feeling than finding a good deal on a diecast.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man.
Rouser, appreciate the $2. Today I learned a pit crew guy is a Super Bowl champion and picked Big Ben. I don't know which one it is. Fred Dog 81, appreciate the $5. Jamie Little, he spelled Jamie wrong. Jamie Little. Talk more about a real good pit road reporter in Kim Kuhn. She had an incredible career in NASCAR.
I mean, Kim Kuhn's great as well. I mean, Jamie Little's excellent on pit road. She's been great in plenty of on-camera roles. That's why it's just a mystery why she sounds out of place in the play-by-play booth.
Yeah. Like, dislike, appreciate the $5. I predict the CW Xfinity Series will have better ratings than Cup on FS1. I don't think so.
Unless it's like a rain-delayed Cup race or something, maybe they'll
that's
catch a
the
break
only
one
chance
weekend.
it's got. Greg Snazzy Gamer, appreciate the $5. Wow, I made it in the poll comments and it wasn't the gutter? Sure, I'll take it.
Woo!
Hang the banner.
Hang
Well
the
played.
banner.
Hold on, my thing messed up. I gotta go back up.
Okay.
Okay, GN NASCAR fan 24, 2016 Atlanta Trucks Bell took out Jones/Crafton, 20 to go.
Oh, this is a reason to hate Bell. Wait, I don't even remember this. 2016 Atlanta. I'll find the clip. I got to watch
I don't
this
remember
now.
that, but I will take your word for it.
2016.
That would have been early in the year. I was in high school when that happened.
Is this we have NAS Carson. This is Indy Carson 2025, $9.99. Appreciate that. Why can't Daytona 500, Brickyard 400, Southern 500, and Coke 600 only go to scheduled distance and have no green, white, checkered finish since they're the most historic races and shouldn't have more miles? I don't even believe in having. If one race is going to have it, I think they all should, no matter if they're a big crown jewel like that. I think they should all be officiated the same way, and in that aspect at least.
Ooh, I think I found the incident they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know if this is the right one. This is Kansas. It's an Xfinity race. Bell.
No, this is a truck race.
Well, I found this when Bell or Jones was mad at Bell because Bell pulled a mean slider on him and just absolutely pinched Jones into the wall effectively, or just took his line away. And it was an over aggressive move that didn't work out for Jones, but it worked out for Bell. Forgot about this move actually. I can't find the truck one though. Where's this truck thing? Oh, here we go. Maybe this is it.
Well, while you're looking into that more, Indy Carson 2025. Appreciate once again $4.99 from you. Why can't all NASCAR channels do Daytona 500 like it was Fox and NBC switching every year in early 2000s when it was good? Yeah, I don't know. I think also if we end up getting to a point where we're alternating the championship race, maybe we also alternate who broadcasts that every other year. I don't know.
I have a feeling Fox would probably, I think Fox at this point just sticks around so they can have that race. Like if they didn't have the Daytona 500, I guarantee you they leave.
That's true.
I think they like having a few races to like fill that gap between football and baseball season. But
yeah, that's true.
But you're right. Daytona is their big one. And I cannot find this truck race they're talking about. I'll keep digging.
Indy Carson 2025. Appreciate it. 99 from you again. If no green, white, checkered finish, Kyle Busch, Biffle, Reagan would win Daytona 500. Brad Kay would have 2 Indy wins. Kane would have 4 600s. Elliott would win the Coke 600. Larson would win 2 600s. Johnson would have 4 Darlington wins. Interesting when you think of it like that.
And they went back and studied all those. I respect the dedication.
Evergreen Mountain, appreciate the $5. I just realized if the penny goes away, then LaJoy will have to change his podcast to begging for nickels, which is actually more accurate anyway. Oh my gosh.
From the top rope.
Josh.
Well, I should have actually said what they actually called Corey LaJoy. They called him LaJoke.
Okay, that actually takes some of the sting out of it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Indy Carson 2025. Appreciate your generosity of another $9.99. Hey, NWP, congrats on 300 episodes, and thanks for being my only NASCAR news. Can't wait for David Land's IndyCar this weekend since it's old NASCAR rules instead of current rules I'm not a fan of. I get that. And yeah, definitely check out David's channel for good IndyCar content.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I haven't checked out. He has the new show. Oh gosh, what's it called again? Unrefined? Unverified. I haven't watched that yet. Unrefined, unverified. Yeah. David is anything but unrefined. He is extremely refined and
very refined
and well researched. I knew it was something. Yeah, I gotta check that out because that seems like a fun show. Because it sounds like they cover even more than just IndyCar. So it seems like a good deal.
Yeah, we just cover NASCAR and chicken restaurants and cookies.
Yeah, we're very one-dimensional, quite frankly.
Isaac V24, appreciate the 199. My proposal: no more one race championships. Yeah, we kind of were talking about that. The idea of going into it like a 2 or 3 race championship round. That's definitely an idea that's been floated around. Isaac V24, appreciate another 499. I've actually been doing Excel sheets of 3 race finales for the past 8 years. The big changes: KFB won the 18 title, and Byron won a 23 and 24 titles.
Oh,
I guess based on like I guess a multiple race deal. Bobby Blair, appreciate the 499. This is when Jarrett and Eric were going at it. He said, "I love Danny just eating cake during the debate about the playoffs."
Let him eat cake.
I finally found the clip of Christopher Bell wrecking Crafton.
You found it?
And yeah, he just got slipped up off the bottom and just dominated them into each other. Definitely
Does
a bad
that
mistake.
change your opinion? Do you now hate Christopher Bell?
Christopher Bell, that was a disgusting act by Christopher Bell, if you ask me.
Are you now a certified Bell hater?
The Bell sound effect it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, no, I can't stand the guy. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe this.
Real quick, I know people in here like it. We all grew up with Cars as a kid, right? You know, the movie.
Yeah.
So John and I are doing an e-ticket event for coming up. I believe, yes, March 7th. We're doing Cup Cars at Le Mans, 210 miles an hour, and this is one of the schemes he just sent me.
Ooh.
No. I love
it.
You're racing at Le Mans in the Rusties scheme?
I'm just saying, man.
The European mind can't comprehend.
It's going to be
Rusties.
fun, man.
BGWX Chasing, appreciate the 499. New NASCAR 25 feature. When you play for too long, NASCAR 25 will put you on a 6-hour rain delay. So to keep you from staring at the screen for too long.
And they make you do interviews on Fox during the rain delay to pass the time.
And then what they do is they'll show the race from the season before you ran at that track during the rain delay.
Do y'all remember that feature in it might have been Inside Line. I don't remember which games it was, but it was the
Technics.
It was the rewind feature where it was like, not the rewind feature. It was the great moments in history. Can you recreate, X's charge to the front at Kansas?
The Thunder Challenge and stuff like that.
Yeah, did the Thunder games have those?
They had
something like that.
But the ones in the Technics games, and maybe it's because I had the 360 I was playing on at the time, the cars were always left on the same track, and the AI never acknowledged you.
The AI didn't. Yeah, it was very weird. But I remember thinking it was such a cool idea that the broken AI didn't work. But it was like, remember when Kyle Busch went from 10th to 1st on this restart to win at California? Now you get to play as Kyle Busch on that restart. And it was like, oh, this is such a cool idea. But yeah, the AI was kind of broken.
Yeah. Let's see. PC 10.8. Appreciate a 999 from you. Who are some drivers in Xfinity, either full or part-time, you guys think are flying under the radar?
Xfinity.
Under the radar.
Where'd my magazine go with my list?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like everyone knows obviously about Zilich and Carson Quapple and Eckes and Daniel Dye.
Thompson.
Dean Thompson. There you go.
He doesn't run well that often, but like he has these flare up runs where he's just like the best guy out there.
That's fair. That's a fair choice. I would say maybe Nick Sanchez. Like we'll just see if that like I don't know that Sanchez is that good, but he won. Did he win 2 truck races last year? Or did he just win one? I know he won Daytona. I thought he won another race.
I know he wanted to murder Matt Crafton.
Yeah, well, Crafton kind of got the first lick in there.
I'm just looking at look what they're spamming for Danny Dye.
Oh no.
Oh no!
He ain't
You
never
look at
lived that
Danny
down.
Dye; he's under the radar.
That's why Michael Waltrip hasn't been in the truck booth this year.
I think I texted y'all during maybe it was Daytona because I was watching the truck race broadcast, and I literally texted y'all. Michael Waltrip is doing the thing. He was talking about Daniel Dye, and then I think pivoted to showing the Tim Duggar logo on someone's truck, and I was like, "You got to be joking!" I was like, literally texting y'all. Michael Waltrip is doing the thing right now on FS1.
Oh,
Get to a TV.
I think I was watching.
I mean, someone else is flying under the radar. If you consider like the equipment that he's in, but who his brother is. I mean, Ryan Truex. I mean, I guess you could say that to a point.
Yeah, he's always fun to watch.
He deserves a ride.
He does. He really does. He's been fighting hard. Like y'all remember, he was a development driver for Michael Waltrip Racing back in the late 2000s. What happened to him developing?
Wasn't he in like the 99 Toyota for a while in the nationwide series?
Yeah. Him and Trevor Bayne were developing in that. What happened to the development? He's still developing.
He's in development hell.
Oh no.
Yes, for real. Lawson Murphy, appreciate $1.99. I like this one. NASCAR 25 cover athlete prediction. I personally think it won't be one person. I think it'll be your 3 main champions from last year. So it'll be Joey Logano, Justin Allgaier, and dang it, who won the truck series? I'm blanking.
Majeski.
Majeski. So I think it'll be those 3.
Trucks. I feel like you need somebody to catch the eyes.
That's what I'm thinking.
I would honestly, because I think he's like the most rock star like persona in NASCAR right now, go with Ryan Blaney. Like the dude hangs out with like movie stars and
That's a
like
good
all
choice.
these other like rock
Literally
bands.
married a Hooters model.
The Miss Hooters is partying with Sydney Sweeney like on New Year's and shit. Like, dude, like the fact that NASCAR hasn't marketed Ryan Blaney as a superstar more is insane to me.
He's just
Plus
so
the dude
unassuming.
is cool.
He's cool,
He's
but
just
he's very
cool.
unassuming when you see him. Like he's very
So put his radio out there.
He's very chill. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just blast his radio. Put his radio quotes on a billboard. Yeah, Blaney's actually a really good choice. I would feel like they'll just go the easy route and pick one champion and put Joey on there.
You want to sell it to NASCAR fans and not piss them off, though. I feel like
that's
Joey
true.
right now would piss off fans more than ever. It's kind of like,
is that NASCAR Heat Evolution?
Well, think of like the Thunder series, right? You had Dale Jr. the year before you put Tony Stewart on there.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. So they're gonna put Chase this year, Joey next year.
Yeah, like Chase.
I think Ross Chastain would be a good pick, except they don't want to put, but they probably won't want to put Busch Light on the cover.
You know what? I actually like the idea of Ross Chastain being on it. That's your number 1, so put him on there. But here's another thing. All these games like to put out these special edition. If you pre-order this, you get all this stuff. Make a Champions edition and then give a special game cover if you pre-order that with like the champions on there.
And what's different about the game? You get like 1,000 different like XP points that don't.
You get every paint scheme that's ever going to be released over the next year.
Dale Jr.'s executive producer. He's just going to be on the cover. That'll sell copies. I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, yeah, you could put Dale Jr.'s light model on there. They buy it.
It's just Junior sitting behind a desk with an iRacing polo. I'm my game.
It's just Dale Jr.
The cover's just the Dale Jr. Simulation 25.
Oh my god! It's just Dale Jr. in his podcast studio.
It's just 50% running an Xfinity Series team, 50% doing a podcast.
I mean, if you didn't run into the Wicked Witch of the South, would you make it like Madden and it's like Earnhardt 25?
Hey,
Man, maybe.
imagine it's like you have two different games. You have the the Madden, you get to play football, and you have the NFL head coach or just the coach. You have a NASCAR team owner only game.
You should have like the highest difficulty mode for your season be like, just like some games have like grounded or whatever. And then like during the Prime and TNT ones, anytime someone crashes, you get a jump scare. Oh, we got a car on the wall.
It's a quick time event. You have to press X press X to car on the wall.
That was a fun one, Lawson. Thank you for that one. Appreciate that.
You're like, oh man, I avoided it. Car on the wall. Ah!
Ross Crashtain, appreciate the $5. How cold is it supposed to be in Austin? The track appears to be shrunk in half.
Man.
I thought you were being serious for a second. Evergreen Mountain, appreciate the $5. Jared's outstanding sound effects make me want a Taco Bell sponsorship for Christopher Bell. If Blaney has Chipotle, why can't Bell get the Bell number 20?
That should happen. Surprised that hasn't.
Well, I mean, Taco Bell kind of, if Front Row doesn't have a sponsor, they basically get a free race essentially sometimes. So
I guess it's Taco Bell and Long John Silver's owned by the same parent company. Okay.
Yeah, them, KFC, all those people are together. Hunter Nixon Fishing, appreciate it, $9.99. Highlight of my Daytona weekend was taking my girlfriend to her first race, and she said she had so much fun. She wants to get into NASCAR now. Congratulations, you have
That's
successfully
exciting.
converted her.
Yes, one of us. Well done.
Bread Dog 81, appreciate the $5. Congrats on 300. Would you ever consider doing a podcast in front of a live audience, like at a track or special event?
People scare me.
You have literally done shows like that. What are you talking about?
No.
I say we do it at the Hooters across the street from Daytona before the summer race or something if they're willing to have us. If they're in
They're
business.
about to go
still.
bankrupt, so they need something there to entertain people.
It's Daytona.
We'll attract a solid crowd of like 7 people. I think that'll keep them afloat.
It's a bunch of drunk guys going to find hot women in Florida. I think they'll stay in business down there.
Daylight P&W Productions, appreciate a $9.99 from you. Hello all. There is a bill in Oregon that supposedly will ban leaded fuels at Portland International Raceway. If passed, this will affect NASCAR, IndyCar, and more. What are your thoughts on that?
Leaded fuels or unleaded? Because NASCAR doesn't run leaded fuel.
Yeah, he said leaded. So I
Yeah.
don't see this actually impacting it.
Oh,
And I don't even know. That probably won't even like stand. It'll probably get shut down.
Yeah,
I'd have to look into it more.
NASCAR hasn't run leaded fuel since 2006, and I thought it was banned like across commercial cars well before that. So it maybe if it's like maybe not a certain amount of like ethanol in it or something, I guess. But yeah, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like, one of those laws where it's like, don't kill people. Like it's technically not written in there like that, but just don't do it. And it's like, well, okay, but like we have 500 other laws that say the same damn thing in a different way.
Third, appreciate the $2. I loved how Sam Mayer squirmed when I polished him.
Damn. Everyone's trying to get on Instagram but me. This is so unfortunate.
See, I was like saying with the joke before, it's like 2.3 miles still is some pretty good length, but
I know. There's too much innuendo on this show. We're
it's
trying, guys.
NASCAR in general.
The problem now is we're trying too hard, and now they're just
be
gonna,
good children and eat our cookies, guys.
The first
they're not going to reward
time
us.
when I was in high school, like showing my friends a NASCAR game, I'm playing Thunder 04, and I'm at Texas. And if you get Texas, like if you get the setup just right, and you scream it out of turn 2, you can get like really loose. So I'm like, God, I'm really loose out of the corner there, and they just start laughing. I'm like, what? They're like, what did you just say? I'm like, it's a NASCAR term. Like the terms in general, like
you got to use the word oversteer or understeer. There you go. That's the more.
I speak in bald eagle screeches, Eric.
This shit's tight.
Ah!
America.
She won't turn.
Red, white, better than you.
On that note, we only have one more super chat to go through. Jake Alcorn, appreciate the $4.99. Happy 300, y'all. Love the show. Slick butt hat, Jarrett. And that'll do it.
That's
for
pretty slick.
NWP episode number 300, everybody.
This
Woo!
is
3 hours for 300.
I mean, really,
303 right now.
we made it work.
but
3
real quick,
hours. We're getting to be a 3-hour show, guys.
Yeah, we'll get Rain back at some point to 245. But real quick, this Bud hat was from the same car and sponsorship weekend that Budweiser did with Dale Jr. at the first race I ever went to in 06 at Michigan. So
It's always a special occasion when you wear
That's cool.
a non-red based hat.
that's right, because where to go? I don't know.
This is
I have so many damn hats. There's like I looked through it and I have a Dale Jr. hat from every single season from 2000 to 2008.
I think people often forget you actually have hair because of how many hats you wear.
Yeah, I mean I'm not bald,
Prove it. Oh my
There it is!
Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
God!
bald.
No, the balding comes in when I start doing the parenting side of it. Then I gotta get like the dad, male pattern baldness.
You got to save it up now so you have enough to lose.
Maybe when I lose enough of my hairline, I'll just shave like from where the hairline sort of goes like this and then back. I'll just shave it into a mohawk and just like go for Halloween
There
as
you
one of
go.
the characters from Guitar Hero.
One more super chat. Jupiter Rain, appreciate $2 for 300 episodes. This is Sparta.
I love it.
I can't really say
Oh,
much. I'm kind of losing my voice at this point. So
I know, me too.
think
I've had
we all
allergies
are.
all day. I'm like,
yeah, I'm feeling some allergies coming on.
Well, we do have one last thing next week where we'll be with Mr. Thick Hair
oh
there.
shoot, yeah, that is a lot of hair.
The
Yeah, I
tall
need-
man himself, Eric Eastek.
I'm gonna be honest. We probably all three of us we probably all need some updated profile shots. But
That photo is 3 to 4 years old.
no,
at
it's
least.
older. It's pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because I was looking for pictures and I'm like, well, I have a nice one of Danny when we did an in-person show together back in like 2020. Mine wrist took of me, I think, in 2020 at Daytona. I'm like, okay, that'll do. And then Eric's, I'm like looking through and I'm like, I don't want to put just a logo when like I have a headshot of me and Danny, but we probably should like find a weekend we're all in the same place and actually get real headshots or something.
At least Eric's the one we're most likely to find lots of images of him if we just search Eric Eastep on Google Images. We have options for him out there.
Oh man, I haven't Googled myself in a while. I hope nothing weird comes up.
Googling
gosh,
yourself. Is a
here's
dangerous
one
game.
where you have like really floppy, poofy hair. I'm gonna send y'all that in our chat.
Oh geez.
Maybe we should do this off the air.
Yeah.
What
Good
are you
show
talking
tonight,
about?
folks.
We can do this live right now.
We'll do it live. All right. Well,
This has
any
been
last
fun.
words?
We'll see y'all next week.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all tuning in.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Start it off right now. Right on, come on.
Get outside. Three wide.
Unbelievable.
Great playing. We're going. I like the aggression. We probably dropped a great car. You can go tell all those guys up there they can suck in.
What we're about to do is not a good idea.
All good. What is he doing? You gotta be kidding me.
Half the pack is flying apart.
It's so nice to see you at the line.
Oh, pack of cars come piling in as well.
Jump. Coming the way. Hello. Come back on him.